Manager, a huge challenge for Saints this afternoon. It's already been a busy day on sports, and we come on air at 11:45 this morning. What a game to kick us off at Easter Road. Rangers look to be cruising, 2 goals up. A fantastic fight back from Hibs. The game finished 3 apiece, and we have seen our first hat-trick in the top flight. That scored by Hamza Egeman since Jordan White for Ross County against Dundee United on the 13th of May 2023. Let's hope for plenty more goals this afternoon. Remember, a 2:30 start at Fir Park. Stephen Craigan is there for us. Motherwell at home to Aberdeen. Just before we go on to the game, Stephen, that's a really nice touch. I saw the minute silence there, the players showing the respects, all the names of those that have passed in 2024 going along the screens there at Fir Park. A really nice touch with the club.
It is, Kenny, and I think the club have always tried to recognise supporters as often as they can. Unfortunately, it's for the wrong reasons because they've passed away, but I think it's nice to show your appreciation towards people who have invested in the club emotionally and financially. So yeah, really nice touch, and hopefully the players can go out and do them justice this afternoon.
What's key for Motherwell today, Stephen? Very good against Rangers, very poor against Hearts.
Well, just listen to Willie saying that Aberdeen have been inconsistent. I think Motherwell have been inconsistent as well, as a long ball goes over the top for Palaversa. Smart save by Aston Oxborough. But having looked at both of these sides, they don't recover well in games when they go behind. I don't think either of them have won a game this season after conceding the first goal. So clearly both managers, I'm sure, will have pinpointed that and said, listen, if we can get the first goal, more often than not, we're not going to lose a game, we can get something from it. But with both sides on winless runs, Aberdeen slightly longer than Motherwell's, of course it is. But they're both looking over their shoulder. You said that Dundee United have jumped above Aberdeen, so they're looking behind that. Motherwell and St Mirren potentially closing the gap. But as mad as the league is, St Mirren and Motherwell are also looking over their shoulder, because Hibs are closing in, Kilmarnock are closing in, Dundee are closing in, and with so many games in such a short space of time, 2 wins can suddenly catapult you away from trouble or away from teams chasing in behind you. So set up nicely, both sides. I'd imagine it will be an aggressive, competitive game. How will the football be? I don't think they'll really care, Ken. It's all simply about winning the game.
Yeah, unfortunately, Stephen, we've seen the pictures coming in here. You can't see the bottom half of the stand, the away stand, where the Aberdeen supporters will be. We've got that ridiculous situation, haven't we? They're in the upper deck of that. But I'd imagine, despite the poor run of form, again, a big travelling support for the Dons.
Kenny, the Aberdeen fans never cease to surprise you. You have to say, 9 games without a win, and I think they've packed the top tier. Which is probably around about 2,000 fans. So to come here after travelling to Kilmarnock and losing heavily, having taken 3,500 to Dundee United, losing late, they still have a real love for their club, like most supporters do. But to travel their numbers when the game is also on the TV, or they can listen to it on the radio, it'd be easy to stay at home. So I think the players have to take comfort from that. They have to take a little bit of inspiration from that. The fans are backing them, the manager's backing them. Aberdeen haven't become a bad team overnight. There's just different things within their style of play. They've lost a little bit of confidence, they've lacked a little bit of energy. That all comes from losing games and not getting that first goal and struggling in games. That's the kind of natural instinct of any football player. Aberdeen just need someone to grab this game by the scruff of the neck, find a way to win a game irrespective of whether they play well or not, and then kick on from there. But let's be honest, they're in a good position in 4th place. A win today can jump them into 3rd until Dundee United's result comes in later on.
And that's the thing, isn't it, Willie Miller? Because they are ahead of schedule. Because the key word we heard when Jimmy Chalene was appointed was patience. It was going to take time for him to implement his style. They got off to such a flyer. We all love the story, but in context, they're in a very good place.
It's such a wonderful word in football, isn't it? Patience. We don't see it too often. But I think we'll see it in this case. I think Jimmy Chalene will get, his time, his 3-4 windows. I think the chairman, Dave Cormack, is fully supportive of him. And let's face it, they've been through enough managers, and it's been young managers, relatively inexperienced managers. I've now got someone with a track record, so there's no doubt that, in my mind anyway, that he's going to get time, he's going to get windows to turn it round. But Stephen's right. It's one of these strange situations with Aberdeen where the confidence is gone, the energy is gone. You're looking at their team look quite strong. The squad looked quite strong at the start of the season, but now as you get into the season, you're looking at young Malloy, who's 23. He's bought as a project, and he's been used. He's injured today, I believe. He was struggling against the Ross County, last time out. You've got McGrath and McKenzie, who haven't decided whether they want to stay at the club as well. you've lost Majowski, their main talisman up front. And Sokler and Nisbet hasn't filled the boots as yet. And you've brought in Keskinen, who's been a bit of a start-stop player for them, and Duke as well, who's not really found his form of 2 seasons ago. So I think Jimmy Tilline's done really well. He will get the time, there's no doubt about that, but at the same time I think it's quite amazing how the Aberdeen fans have stuck with it. I mean, you're talking about sellouts, you're not talking about good crowds, 15,000. You're talking about sellouts at Pittodrie, and even when the weather's not great, huge crowds come in, hospitality sold out. So the fans have bought into it, they're fully supportive of the new manager. The start of the season was quite incredible, but this 9 without a win is beginning to grate a little bit. And I'm sure it won't be too long before the grumbles come out. So it's football, Kenny. Come on, it is
and
football.
That's why we love it.
That is exactly why we love it.
And you know what? We had an Aberdeen fan join us yesterday, and he was taking that position, overall looking at the situation and still absolutely behind the manager, Steve McGinn and Ryan McGowan alongside me in the studio. I'm thinking, guys, you've been in club situations where the results change, but nothing has changed in terms of training, formation. I know there's having a few personnel changes, a few injury issues, but for some reason the results turn.
So sometimes it does change, though. I think Ryan would maybe back it up within what you always look at. Maybe bad runs. Is the manager changing his philosophy, or does he totally believe we're on the right path? Because I'm not living Aberdeen, I don't see them every week. If you'd offered them this position the day Jimmy Tilline holds up the scarf, joint third in the league, aside from the winning run, losing run, in that position, fans totally behind the manager, getting to his second window, you'd absolutely snapped your hands off. But the bit probably we won't find out until longer term is, has he changed, or is he absolutely the same within this losing run? Because that's the bit you're always looking towards your manager for.
So you're looking to the manager.
You're always looking for your manager to try and give you something, whether that to be stay on the same thing that got you those 9 wins. Like you said, there's been a couple of injuries, there's been other little things that have gone against them, but I think it was Willie that said earlier, they have been struggling even during that winning run, and then sometimes it can just be simple things like losing or conceding sloppy goals, which really just gets you down, and confidence is such a big thing in football.
Yeah, well, outwardly, you've been saying the tactics, the approach in games, that hasn't looked any different.
No, it hasn't changed his system at all. He's went with the back 4 usually, the 2 sitting with a number 10, 2 wide players and a main striker. I think it's Palaversa. I don't have the teams right in front of me. I think Palaversa coming in today makes it a little bit stronger, I feel, in the midfield. Perhaps a little bit more defensively. It's normally maybe Clarkson or McGrath that plays off of whoever's up front, Sokler or Nisbet or Ambrose or Papagay, who's been out injured as well. But the formation has been the same. It hasn't changed, and I don't see him changing.
Willie, I wasn't specifically talking about his starting 11 or formation. I mean Monday to Friday. I mean when they're on the winning run, all managers do a debrief or maybe video footage. Was during the winning run, was he saying, was he having a laugh at maybe the odd mistake and saying, and letting people away with it?
Yeah.
And now you're into a losing run, all of a sudden that's a big problem.
I don't think that's his
like
style either. Yeah, I know,
but we don't know. I don't know. That's what I'm saying as a player. That's what the players are maybe.
And that's what you're looking at.
Yeah. Why is that all of a sudden a problem?
I can't see Jimmy Tilline
winning, and then now it's a problem just because we're losing.
I can't see Jimmy Tilline getting in and getting angry after a game, to be perfectly honest.
And that would be a strength. That would be a strength if he's been the same.
Willie, you bring up a good point there, actually, because you've been
checking for a red card here for Park. Davor Stravkovsky was booked for a foul on Severt Nielsen, which just looked really innocuous. He got a yellow card, which I think surprised everybody, no one else other than Stuart Kettlewell. But for some reason they've asked for a red card. I don't know if you can see it or whether it's going on.
I would need to get another kind of look at it. It didn't look high enough to be anything red card worthy.
Just waiting on a replay in the studio here, guys.
Sorry, we have moved on, but it just seemed needless, really, when we talk about checking things for the sake of checking things. But there we go.
It was interesting, actually, talking there about whether he gets angry. Well, he doesn't think his mood, his tone would change much in the dressing room. So I have to ask you, Ryan McGowan, given we've got you in here, and I have to give you a sort of...
I think I know what's coming.
Yeah, duty of care with him, because he does listen into the programme. But I'm thinking Davy Martindale, after a defeat and a performance like yesterday, a missed penalty, what on earth was that like in the dressing room at Hampden Park after the game?
I've seen worse.
Much?
Yeah, not by. I think it was more just pure frustration.
Is that right?
Yeah. On a personal note, we conceded from 2 corners, and we had like that. We missed the penalty, which does happen. We had countless opportunities. It was borderline frustration.
Do you put the head down? Is he one that goes round the room one by one?
No, he's not. That's a Jim Jeffries special where he goes around. He starts off on whoever's closest to him and just works his way around, destroying people's confidence. But no, it was more just a real frustration. And a lot of us players spoke, and had a few not harsh words, but it's just we are at a key point of the season. Falkirk are obviously doing well. Ayres doing well. Thistle were on a good run. It is an important stage of the season, and you don't want these opportunities to slip. The manager's been big on, there's not very often in your career that you get opportunities to win leagues, and we did get off to a wonderful start, and we have fallen off 3 defeats in a row. There's no shying away from that we have fallen off, especially after beating Falkirk at home and beating Thistle at home, who were on a good run. But it's not panic stations just yet, but he definitely wasn't too happy, along with us players. I think a lot of people or fans sometimes think that us players don't care, or that we don't worry about it. It fully affects your weekend. I know that I was super grumpy yesterday after the game. It ruins your whole week. I'm not looking forward to going in tomorrow. Well, I am in a way, but you just want to get everything out in the open. Sorry.
Try and
then just
right.
work on it Monday to Friday. A bit of a cliche, but we do have a game next week that we have to make sure that we win, and then hopefully go on a run from there.
You can understand
the thing about that, Kenny. Sorry, see the thing about managers losing the plot, and the blast furnace or the hairdryer or whatever, or Jim McLean. You would take it when they were in the dressing room, but I don't know how it is nowadays. See, as soon as the manager went out, the jokers came to the front again, and we had a good laugh about it.
You'd need to make sure guys like that were well clear of the dressing room, wouldn't you, before you started doing that?
You've just got to get on with it.
I would love. I love these programmes. John Lambie was a famous one where you get access to I know a lot of managers never allow it, but access to the dressing room. You see these guys in full flight after the game.
Can I just say, John Lambie was great in the dressing room because John Lambie didn't tell you in the dressing room what he thought. You have to read it on a paper on a Sunday morning to see what he thought. So he told you guys things he didn't tell us. You might have been rotten, you might have been this, you might have been that, but he never told you. He just came in and had a bit of a grump and moan away, and then individually you had to find out in the paper who done well, who didn't. So it wasn't all defaced, believe me. Terry Butcher was the complete opposite. Terry went round one by one, and anybody lifted their head, they got a volley, they got everything. Good or bad, you absolutely got it. He didn't leave anyone unturned, he just went after it. So I think those days have changed. I think people are a wee bit more precious nowadays. I'm not too sure managers could be as aggressive as what they are.
I can certainly back Ryan up with the Jim Jeffries. When I was an apprentice here at Rugby Park, and I used to play in the reserves on a Monday night, and my goodness me, Jim Jeffries and Billy Brown would go hammer and tong if you weren't performing, because that was the days when to the point, Kenny, well, if I see Jim Jeffries kicking about games, he's a lovely man. He goes, "Oh Rory, how you doing? How's it been?" I'm still really nervous talking to Jim Jeffries, and I'm a fully grown adult.
Listen, I know, and Alan, you're still scarred. You're not Mr. Preston.
Sorry, Kenny. I was actually speaking to Callum Davidson, who just came up to wish me Happy New Year.
Lovely. Now I'm just saying,
we're talking a great result.
Listen, fantastic. Yeah, Ryan's not loving it, but we're just on the managers. I'm sure you're probably still pretty scarred by your Mr. McLean experiences,
my contract runs out this summer, Kenny. My option runs out. So, listen, it was a great times under one of the best in Scotland at the time. Loved my time at Dundee United. Very difficult, really tough upbringing with us. But I wouldn't have had it any other way. It made me into the person I am now, actually, to be fair, the discipline that he had with us. And I'm sure Wally will say the same at Aberdeen, although Wally used to fight back a bit more than we were allowed to.
Yeah, listen, these guys, fantastic characters, fantastic managers. There's that great Sir Alex Ferguson documentary as well on the BBC right now. I want to speak about the game at Tannadice at Willie's at your Ryan's former club there. Hearts, get his thoughts on Neil Critchley, but let's see how things are going. What, about 15 minutes in at Fir Park, Stephen, what's happening?
Well, there's not been an awful lot happening, I have to say. That's why I've not shouted in. Toby Keskinen had a shot from 20 yards. It was easily saved by Aston Oxborough. He put it out for a corner. From the corner, Kevin Nisbet headed over the bar, but it's kind of been a bit of a midfield battle. Aberdeen have probably settled better. They're moving the ball a little bit better, but there's nothing really of note. You can see it's two sides who are struggling a little better, just desperate for something to fall their way so they can grab hold of it and get a little bit of confidence. Motherwell look really disjointed. They're going with a 3-4-3. The front three are trying to close Aberdeen's back four down. They're playing through them, playing around them. Andy Halliday and Zdravkovsky getting picked off in midfield, but so far it's 0-0. Usually
what happens when I say something like this, he'll go and bang in a couple of goals, but Kevin Nisbet, Stephen, he just looks, he's a guy who's got so much potential, but I don't know, he's just not doing it right now. He's got a great opportunity here. Papagay's out, they're looking for someone to bang in the goals, and it's not happening.
Yeah, it's probably the same as the team, really. Aberdeen, he's probably in that same kind of form where he's looking for something to happen for him, but there's no doubt he's got ability. He should be doing better than what he is. And saying that, I looked at the stats today. 7 starts, he's got 4 league goals, so it doesn't look too bad, although I think he's got 7 or 8 subs appearances as well. But I think more was expected of Kevin Nisbet. He sold down to Millwall, came back and loaned. They thought, right, we've got the man to go and replace Bojan Miovski. He's a goal scorer, he's got all the attributes. I watched him from a young age of 17. Actually, the first time I watched him playing was here in a Youth Cup game when I was at Motherwell under 20s, and he came at Partick Thistle and he jumped out and I thought, wow, who's this kid? He had all the attributes: physicality, pace, just his game knowledge, his understanding of the game, his touch, his awareness, everything. I thought he'd go to the top. I was surprised he struggled at Thistle. He then, I think, went to Furlong and Raith Rovers, and he'd done really well at those two clubs. Not surprised he got his move to Hibs and scored goals, but I think he's been a disappointment.
Yeah, I've worked with him. I've obviously, my brother Paul played with him at Partick Thistle, coming through, and he's always, what I've always found with Kevin Nisbet is an inconsistency. Sometimes you watch him and against Celtic and Rangers at his best, he's been unplayable. Mm-hmm. He's never really found that middle ground where within games he can still play well and get his goals. He seemed to have been quite a streaky player, and it's never seemed to change. The older he gets, he's never really kind of settled and really grabbed his career by the scruff of the neck.
Let's have a wee chat about the game at Tannadice. Dundee United up against Hearts. Willie, you will have watched at very close quarters Jim Gooden really struggle at Aberdeen. There have been difficult times for him as well at Dundee United, but my goodness, his comeback swing, he's doing a great job, isn't he?
Yeah, Kenny, I've come through that therapy, and I'm all right this season. But it was a tragic end to Jim Goodwin's time at Aberdeen, unfortunately. But he's done brilliant, hasn't he? He's resurrected his career. He's come back. He's taken over the role here at Dundee United, and although getting quite a bit of stick last season, even taking the title, still getting a bit of uncertainty surrounding them. And then getting a nod and doing so well. This season, this would be their 4th win in the trot if they can manage to. They're all very close, though, aren't they? And a lot of late goals he's had too. I think, I'm reluctant to say a bit of good fortune he's had, because I think late goals is a sign of determination. Say that again.
It's happened too many times for it just to be down to good luck, I think.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. Rory, I was reluctant to say that it's good fortune, because the changes that he made against Aberdeen were positive changes to win the game, and they managed to win it. And obviously I don't see him every weekend, but if that's his mindset. But I don't think he's a manager that wants to play open, expansive football anytime. No. I've watched them. They're quite dogged. They work extremely hard. They're very strong defensively, and this season they've somehow managed to find ways of winning games, which is a great attitude. It's a great attribute to have, no doubt about that, and that's why they're sitting third, and they've toppled Aberdeen off that spot. and he's having a fabulous season.
Kenny, I think Dundee United is a great blueprint. You know, when things are going wrong, we often have discussions about recruitment, we have discussions about shape, we have discussions about mentality, and I think it's important with Dundee United to highlight what happens when you get all of those right, because the recruitment has been fantastic. It really has. You know, picking players from different parts of Europe, bringing them in, whether it be on loan or, you know, full contracts. And you know, we talk about Aberdeen and, you know, what's kind of went wrong. I think at the start of the season when Aberdeen were 0-0 or, you know, one each with 10 minutes to go, they genuinely believed they were going to win it, and that's huge in those 10 minutes. Dundee United have always had that. So not only is he recruited well, he's got a shape which works. Now, if Dalby goes, that's going to be a problem. He is key to how they play. They've got wide players in Ferry and Stevenson who'll run up and down Middleton, and they play off with Dalby. But in terms of a blueprint for coming up, for recruiting well, instilling good belief mentality, and then getting a philosophy of how you want to play and going, do you know what, we're going to stick with it, as Ryan was alluding to earlier. I think he deserves huge credit to be sitting third as a newly promoted team.
Yeah, I'm going to bring in Stephen Thompson. Stephen obviously knows him well, but a big chance there at Fir Park, Stephen Craig.
It is. Dan Casey really should have given Motherwell the lead. It was a throw-in down the right-hand side, just in front of the stand where the Aberdeen fans are. And Kofi Obama came to take it. We all know he's got a long throw, but they actually took a short one to Andy Halliday. He put a delightful cross into the box with his left foot, in swinging. Dan Casey came round the back. I just thought for all my money it was going to end up in the back of the net, and somehow he's put it past the post. Big let off for Aberdeen. Slack marking. Motherwell should be ahead.
Yeah, and his head in his hands there. Stephen Thompson, you of course know Jim Goodwin very well. You'll be delighted to see the job that he is doing there, because he went through some pretty rough times.
Yeah, sorry for not jumping in too often. It's my first open all mics in about 8 years, so I'm just enjoying listening to all your chat. But yeah, I mean, he's really enjoying it. I'm obviously super pleased for him. I think he actually told me, and I don't know whether this is out there or not, that Dalby's there till the summer. They've got him till the summer anyway. In case you were talking about the summer or January window, I'm sure he'd said they've got him till the summer.
Somewhere that they were trying to recall him to sell him on, but I maybe picked that up wrong, Stephen.
Well, I don't know. That was in a text message.
Oh well, there's an exclusive.
You just put it right in it.
He might say that's not true, but I remember him saying that. So no, I'm delighted for him. I think he obviously took a lot of criticism and a big hit when he was leaving Aberdeen. But the one thing about Jim, having played with him for so long at St Mirren, is he's the sort of character that never gives up. I did my E-licence with him going back about 10, 11 years ago now, and I could tell then that he had a real hunger to be successful as a manager, and I think his pathway was a very, very good one that he took. You know, when he finished at St Mirren, obviously he had a wee touch of it with when Tommy Craig was in charge, but then going to Alloa and then coming back to St Mirren and having success, he gets his big move to Aberdeen, and at that point it would have been very easy to kind of shirk away from it a wee bit, but he's got such strong character that, you know, he gets straight back into the Dundee United job. Some people would say that was fortuitous, but you know, you don't pick the clubs that are after you or want you. He kept them up, which in itself was a good achievement. Well, he didn't keep them up, obviously, then brings them back up, to the Premiership. And this season, I think the guys have hit the nail on the head. The recruitment's been a key thing for Jim this season. He doesn't have a lot of possession, his teams. There'll be a lot of other teams in the league that have got more possession. But what he does is build effective teams. And there's absolutely no doubt that this Dundee United team are incredibly effective, and the fans love him. I'm still in touch with quite a lot of Dundee United fans that I met up there from my time in Dundee, and one of them messaged me after the Dundee game saying, could you please tell Jim that I love him? So I was like, so I had to message him and say, but they're really enjoying, obviously, just now the success that they're having. The important point is, and Jim's never one for thinking that he's achieved anything, the important thing for Dundee United is that they've got themselves into this position, such a strong position, and I think a position that not a lot of people would have foreseen, is to maintain it, and he'll not let standards drop at the club. So I'm really super pleased for him.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. We'll talk about Hearts in a minute, but another big chance at Fir Park, Stephen Craig.
Yeah, this time it's gone to the visitors at the in-swinging corner from Palaversa. I have to say it was a delightful corner kick, so much pace on it. It took out the front man, it took out any kind of zone Motherwell were having. I think it was Nicky Devlin who got the header about 8 or 10 yards out. Unfortunately for him, it was right down the throat of Ashton Oxborough. He makes a smart save and Motherwell clear it, but the game's starting to come alive, 0-0.
Yeah, it looks a decent game there, fair to say. At Fir Park, it was a 2:30 start. All the other games kick off at 3 o'clock. Remember, there's the option of commentary from Celtic Park. Celtic at home to St Mirren. We'll bring in Ryan's thoughts on this, Alan, but Hearts up at Tannadice today. Your thoughts of where your club are right now and the job being done by Neil Critchley?
It's a tough game, a really tough game. Dundee United have already beat Hearts this year at Tynecastle. Hearts again, Beningame out again. They've added Jamie McCart, which I think is a good signing. Looks like Kai Rolls will be leaving to go to the MLS, but they still need more players in. They're now, but do you know what I like? I like the front two of Boyce and Wilson. I think what Boyce has done for Wilson in the last couple of games, up at Dingwall and at Tynecastle, and the last time out, he's really helped the young kid come on, and he needs someone like that. He's 17 years of age, he's a terrific goal scorer, but he needs someone with the guile and the cleverness of Leon Boyce up there to help him now. I wish Leon Boyce was 4 or 5 years younger and not had so many injuries, because I can't see him being kept. I really can't, with the amount of injuries he's had. But he's a brilliant foil just now, and long may that continue. Neil Critchley, Kenny, has to be judged when he gets players in. He's got a couple in already. I expect another 3 or 4 to be in by the end of the window, and then he can be judged. But he needs to get out of this predicament they're in. They're second bottom still. They need to start dragging other teams in and around them.
We'll get Ryan's thoughts in just a minute. A choice of listening now on Sports, and for commentary of Celtic against St Mirren, tune to digital 810 medium wave and BBC Radio Scotland Extra on BBC Sounds. For open all mics, tune to BBC Radio Scotland on 92 to 95 FM and BBC Sounds, and you can follow all the action live online, bbc.co.uk/Sports Scotland. You're listening to Sports Sounds Open All Mics on BBC Radio Scotland. We've already brought you the game through at Easter Road. What a fantastic match it was. Hibs 3, Rangers 3, an absolute belter. They're underway at Fir Park, 2:30 start, goalless between Motherwell and Aberdeen. We're building up to the 3 o'clock kick-off. Steve McGinn and Ryan McGowan alongside me in the studio. Alan giving his thoughts there on your former club. Ryan, what's your assessment of where they are right now?
I always get worried when you say former club, because all my 4 clubs are playing against each other today.
All right, that's a good point, yeah.
Well, that's why you brought me in, because Dundee and St Johnstone, and then obviously Dundee United and Hearts. But yeah, I agree. I think there's probably a little bit of a divide in the Hearts fans in terms of Critchley at the minute. I think when he came in, they got instant results. I think they won their first 2 or 3, had a good comeback against Hibs to get the draw. But I think they've kind of just fallen off a little bit, and as much as Shankland was obviously the big one in terms of not scoring and what he wasn't contributing to the team, he was in terms of his hold-up play and his link-up play. But I almost feel that him being out and being injured has made Hearts a better team. Like you said, with Boyce playing in that 10 role, he does see that pass probably a little bit quicker than Shankland does. And with Wilson, he's a willing runner. He runs in behind, and as a centre-back, that you don't want that. You want everything played in front of you. You want it, to be able to see everybody. So to have a little 17-year-old whippet running in behind you is annoying and frustrating, and I think him playing with Boyce has kind of opened it up, because when Shankland does play for Hearts, he tends to not go wherever he wants, but you see him drifting out wide. You'll see him go on to try and get onto the ball, and I don't know whether it's because he's captain, he wants to try and influence the team, but with Boyce he tries to stay in that 10 role, and he's instantly always on the turn trying to find Wilson with those through balls. So sometimes managers can get not lucky, with Shankland being out. He doesn't have to drop him, and the headlines that come from that. With him being injured, he's allowed Boyce to come in, and I think he's probably looking at it being like, Hearts are playing slightly better with Boyce in that role than Shankland is. But then his dilemma will be, when Shankland's fit, what does he do? And I do think it's a big game for Hearts today. Like we've said, everybody said Dundee United have hit the ground running this season. I think they've built a really, really good team, and if Hearts were to get anything out of today's performance, then I think it would be a very good result for Hearts.
And to bring in 2 other sides that Ryan mentioned there, Alan, the game that you're at today, you've already said this is huge for both clubs at McDiarmid Park.
This is a real worry for St Johnstone. If they lose today and Hearts win and Ross County, it's all if buts, but if they can find themselves, they're already 5, they could find 7, maybe even 8 points behind. It's going to be so difficult, and that's 3 games you're going to have to win more than the rest of them not to be in that automatic drop place. See with Valakari this week, Kenny done an interview, and he says, I've got no physical edge like Dundee United have come on. I don't have any wingers, I don't have a target man. as far as he's concerned, he's got nothing, and he's laying that at the board. We're now, 5-6 days into the new year. I expected signings in. I thought they would have had them in place already. He's lost Cameron with the centre half. He's away by Notts County, but all straight onto Barrow, and his old Lewis Nielsen has been recalled by Hearts as well. So there's two centre halves that are away. They had Dre Wright playing in a back three the other day, and Ryan will know that Dre's a great lad, but one thing he's not is a right centre half. He's tiny, and that's where they are. They've got to get players in. If they want to have any chance, I think they've got to win this one today here, just as the teams come out, Kenny.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that, and I think it's not a dangerous game to play, but when you're saying you've got no wingers, you've got no play, there's plenty of players in that St Johnstone team that could play in those positions. Graham Carey's had his whole career as a winger, and I think the frustration for St Johnstone fans is that they've known that this window's come up, and there seems to be, like you said, we're almost a week in and there's been no signs of players coming in. There's lots of free agents. I've seen one about a possible player coming in from overseas who was already a free agent. Why are they not, as soon as the window opens, they should have had 3 or 4 signings straight in. He's obviously pinpointed what kind of players and positions he does, and I think it just reflects poorly on St Johnstone above, in boardroom level, that they don't have players lined up, option 1, 2 and 3. Option 1 doesn't want to come, bang, who's on the next one, and get these players in, because like you said, you lose today, it's 3 games, 4 games, and you've seen it last year with Livingston and to a certain extent us, when it becomes those types of games, and you come in from getting an important win, say 2 weeks time they win, and they look up and Dundee, the teams above them have won, and they're just gone, we're running out of games here, and it just becomes a real slog, and things need to turn really quickly.
Kenny,
and that
what I would
starts
say on that is it's easier to attract players if you're battling for top 6 or you're sitting 3rd and 4th. You can have 10 options. If you're asking players to come into a relegation battle and a team that's not winning many games, not climbing tables, players are a little bit loath to think, is there any other options out there? Is there another club who would like to take me? Not many people these days want to come in and have a really roll up the sleeves and get after a battle and fight and scrap. So I would imagine that's the issue that St Johnstone have, and I don't imagine they pay the biggest of wages either. So then you're limiting your market even lower down. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I'd imagine they're working hard, but when come January, all managers tell you it's the most difficult window to try and shop in.
And the thing is as well, Stephen, is that Simo Balakari won't know a lot in the British game, so I would imagine that St Johnstone will be looking at foreign, which then comes with its own problems, because you then need a work permit, which takes ages. There's the Hearts have signed a striker for Belgium. He's already missed 2 games because he doesn't have his work permit yet. So there's a process to go through to get these players in, and that's the problem at St Johnstone, I believe. I think that they've got people in mind, but it's going to take a bit of time to get them in. But the damage might already be done there. If they don't come in for the next 3 games, they might be away.
That's the point Ryan's making.
Craigs, that was the point I was going to make, and I was just going to compare it to a time when Gus McPherson, who works in there, was working at St Mirren. The season Oren Kearney was manager at St Mirren, and it was everyone at the full club was desperate just to get to the January transfer window. And I remember speaking to Gus McPherson and Oren Kearney at the time and saying, what's happening? Are we getting? And he said, look, we're trying. There's players that are saying, right, we'll come here for that, but he's a bottom of the league. We're waiting to see this and that if they want across. So there will be an urgency within the building to get them in, but
it's difficult.
St Johnstone are going to be people's last choice. That window was a big success for us. We get guys like Vaclav Hladky who ended up keeping us up.
Right away.
Right, Alan.
That's a corner. Whipped in by Carey. It's Mikulic at the near post, flicked on. Eventually goes into the keeper's hands, but first chance for St Johnstone. There'll be goals here today. I'm telling you now, there'll be goals here.
Okay, right.
We've got strikers, but not so good defenders. I'm telling you, there's goals here.
Right, let's hope so. Listen, we're served up an absolute treat at Easter Road. Let's get to the other commentary option today. That is the game at Celtic Park. Celtic at home to St Mirren. Stephen Thompson is an open all mics duty for us there. What's happening in the early stages, Stephen?
Not too much. We're only just about 3.5 minutes in. Celtic having a lot of the ball, as you'd imagine, in the early stages. Earlier on, there was a kind of slight moment when Nicholas Kuhn was in a run. He was going to slip in Maeda, and there was a coming together with him and Marcus Fraser. Brendan Rodgers down below me was not happy at all because he felt as though Fraser had impeded Maeda, who would have been clean through and goal had.
What did I tell you? Goals! And it's already started. Dundee have taken the lead, and it's Simon Murray. The keeper's had a nightmare. He's blaming. He's over to see the referee. He thinks he's been pushed. The keeper comes for it. It's a ball to the post, back post. The keeper drops it. Eventually it drops to Simon Murray. He's back to goal. Quickly turns on his left foot into the back of the net. Worst start for St Johnstone. St Johnstone 0, Dundee 1.
Keeper at fault, guys?
Yeah, massively.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying, the point I was making about your goalkeeper. The players don't have confidence in their goalkeeping situation. Dre Wright's, the goalkeeper's got it in his hands when Dre Wright's kicked out of his hands, and not getting obviously clean connection because it's already in the goalkeeper's hand, and such a poor goal to concede.
We actually saw a similar thing with Liam Kelly, didn't we? The Rangers goalkeeper flapping at the great header from Bashiri.
There's a check, Kenny, you can imagine every goal's checked anyway.
Right.
There's a check to see if there is a foul on the goalkeeper.
Oh, Fir Park!
Yes, Stephen Craig.
Ian Wilson has slammed it in at the back post. I have to say, I thought Tawanda Maswanisi may have been offside in the build-up. Referee's assistance flag didn't go up. They played on down the right-hand side. Tony Watt fizzes it across. Everybody misses it. It's clear at the back. And in comes Ewan Wilson, who's had a smashing season for Motherwell. Side foot into the roof of the net. It's Motherwell 1, Aberdeen 0.
Right, goal at Fir Park, they'll check that. They're still checking at McDermott Park. Alan Preston is there for us. Ryan McGowan, Steve McGinn in the studio. I don't know if I've had a chance to look at the replay, guys. What do you think? A foul at all? Or?
No, I don't think it's enough. There's a bit of a coming together, but I think it has to be.
Simon Murray, 1-0 Dundee.
Yes, guys are right. Guys are right. What a
Yeah, it's
start.
just a bit of a collision, but
And that's been a problem, sorry Ryan. That's St Johnstone and the
big
goalkeeper front. Big issues for them, real problems. They should have went and got a real experienced keeper at the start of the season, and they've not, I'm afraid.
Yes, Simon Murray.
Goals, no Kenny.
Yeah.
It's no finished yet.
Simon Murray with that goal after 3 minutes. And is the goal stood there at Fir Park, Stephen?
We're just about to see Nick Walsh. Yeah, he's just blown his whistle. It's 1-0 to the home side. I have to say, they were just building a little bit of momentum. There was a couple of minutes before Marvin Calera went down the right-hand side. He fizzed it across. Moses Abiy actually took a touch. Andy Hallery was about to get a shot off and he took it off his toe. Andy Hallery wasn't happy, but slowly but surely in the last 10 minutes, Motherwell have built up a little bit of momentum and they're the team now in this end as opposed to Aberdeen.
Right, real drama, real action there.
Is Willie all right, Kenny? Willie, I'll give him a comfort blanket.
He's been waiting a long time this season of a wee pop, hasn't he?
I've made that call that you suggested and that
right,
text
pal,
that you
good to
sent
hear.
to me, okay, and I'm dealing with it. Not burying my head in the sand.
What's happening in your game, Willie? Who's dominating the early stages there?
Hearts started well in terms of possession, but United have had the ball in Hearts' box more often. A few crosses into the box, a little shout for a penalty as Holt went down, but it didn't look as though there was anything in it whatsoever. So they've had a couple of corners. So I would say the home side have started probably the more positive. 0-0 though.
0-0 there at Tannadice. We cut across you, Stephen Thomas, in the early stages of Celtic Park.
Yeah, I mean, Celtic just totally dominant, sitting really struggling to get out of their own half, sitting with our back five, dropping quite deep. Alistair Johnson's had a lot of the ball down the right, as has Kuhn. Engels has had an influence in the game at the start, but nothing massive in terms of chances so far.
Right, come on, like a home to Ross County. County have found some away form in recent weeks. Rory Loy is there for us. What's happening, Rory?
Bad start for Kilmarnock. Innes Cameron's had to go off injured. I was going to come in, but there was a few goals there. He went down off the ball holding his hamstring, which wasn't good news for him. He wanted to try and play on, but when it's a hamstring you need to get the player off because you can make that a hell of a lot worse very quickly. So he's off. Marley Watkins is back from injury. He's off the bench. So it's like for like. Kilmarnock have looked the slightly better side so far, but not much in terms of action. The best moment of the match so far, just before it, Kilmarnock came out with all their mascots, and I'm no joking, Danny Armstrong's mascot was a good few inches taller than he was. And I was looking going, is that a player? Who is that? And all the mascots were stood in front of the players, and Danny Armstrong made them stand beside them so he could shake the Ross County players' hands. But yeah, not much going on in terms of the actual football so far, Kenny. 0-0.
Right, just looking at the pictures coming in. Steve McGinn there from Fir Park. Jimmy Tulleen deep in conversation on the bench with Peter Leven. Listen, he is off to overall a great start, but this is a real test for him right now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going to Fir Park this time of the year is going to be a hard game in itself. Thought they started a bit brighter. They had a couple of half chances, but they look frail defensively. It looked so easy for Motherwell once they got in. Tony Watt had a couple of options. He tried to find a bye, and Wilson just comes in unopposed, and such an easy goal from a Motherwell point of view, but really poor defensively from Aberdeen.
Who are the Motherwell players, Stephen, that you like, that the manager will have to rely on this season?
Well, Tawanda Maswanisi has been excellent, Kenny. He's the one player that has been the shining light, even though Motherwell at times, we've spoken about it often enough in the programme, where they're, for me, too direct. They don't play through midfield. They don't give it into the wide players' feet to try and be creative. So he's been the one that's carried the can. But you also look, Sam Nicholson's coming back. You know, he's been back for now 3 or 4 weeks, hasn't had a lot of game time. He's the one player who can play in this formation of a front three. He can play on the right, can play on the left. Callum Slattery coming back from injury is a big bonus. Paul McGinn, I thought may have played today. Steve will know more than me. He's been on the bench for the last couple of weeks.
Did he think he was going to play today?
No comment.
I think that tells you all you need to know. That Motherwell do miss him, there's no doubt about it. So players like those, creative players who make something happen. They've got plenty of cloggers who can run up and down the pitch and head the ball and kick the ball. Listen, I was on myself, so I'm not being critical of them, but I know what it's like. You need other players in your team. The balance in the mix has to be right. Tawanda Masmanisi has been the different player. They need a couple more to go along with that. But listen, they're happy, they're here, they're winning by 1-0. They were poor against Hearts a few days ago, and they needed a response, and they've got it up to this point.
Yeah, just looking at the early goals then, Motherwell 1, Aberdeen 0. Ewan Wilson with that goal after 34 minutes. Remember, a 2:30 start at Fir Park. And Simon Murray with the early goal at McDermott Park. St Johnstone 0, Dundee 1. Ryan, you will have played against Simon Murray quite a few times. He looks an absolute pest.
Played with him when he was first joined Dundee United. He came, I think he was at Arbroath and had scored a barrel load of goals, and he came in with just a bundle of energy. And
is he quite mouthy? So did you see that picture on Twitter after he scored against United, giving it to Walton? Did you see that?
He's not shy at all, and even when he first came in, he was, he's got his bright ginger hair. He was so scruffy, and he just came in, and everyone was like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Just, he's like, "I'm here to score goals."
There, right?
Yeah, it was honestly first day he came in. He's like, "I'm here to score goals." Right, mate, you're a striker. He's like, "I'm going to be playing." He's just one of those, lovable guys. Everybody that plays in it or is involved.
You'd feed off that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's just got so much energy and. I remember he's a couple of years younger than me, but even in training, he'd be, what do you not like as a striker, and what do I need to get better at? And even in training games, he was always asking me, Sean Dillon, other defenders, do you prefer if you run off this side or that side, or where should I start my runs?
2-0.
Oh.
St Johnstone are all over the place. I think it's Palmer Holden at the back post. Have a look at it, I'm sure it is. The ball's played in, it's flicked on out to the edge of the box. It's then hammered back across the goal, slight deflection, and I think it's Palmer Holden at the back that knocks it in. 2-0. Worst possible start. Great start for Dundee.
They were queuing up to score at the back post. That was my problem with St Johnstone watching them live the other day. Teams aren't even needing good play to look like scoring. St Johnstone, every time it comes into the box, they look really frail, and there's players that in the box from a set piece, standing not marked, and the forward players from St Johnstone are just thinking, right, let's get forward, let's go counter-attack. They aren't good enough defensively to commit the bodies they commit.
Good save, McCrory. It was a big chance for Ross County, and it was Josh Nisbet who found his way in the box. He goes with his left foot. He should score, if I'm being honest. He's one-on-one. If he lifts his head and looks at McCrory, he can maybe slide it in a corner. Good save though. Still 0-0.
A check here at McDermott for offside in the build-up. I think Cameron's ball, when it was then headed back across to Palmer Holden.
Yeah, I think someone just dived for, is it maybe number 15, Alan? I don't have the team lines in front of me, obviously, but just looking at the pictures here, we're waiting
Simon
for a replay.
Murray's 15 for Dundee. Just trying to see, obviously, that they'll be drawing the lines.
Yeah, we're wondering if Simon Murray maybe got a touch before Holden got there. We're waiting for a replay. We've not had it in years, so it's tricky for the guys to make a call on that. But this is a huge moment, Alan, isn't it, for both these clubs?
Honestly, Kenny, I knew when I got this game, I thought there's got to be goals here, because both defences are not great. They're conceding goals for fun, and that's the problem. And the referee's now just explaining to Nicky Clark that they're trying to draw the lines because there's clearly an offside decision to be had. But this is
close.
really
Is it tight, isn't it? It's tight. We've got a still there. It's tight, Ryan, isn't it?
Yeah, just first viewing, I think Dre Wright is in the sort of front area, and I think his boots a little bit back towards the 6-yard line, and I think initially he's onside. I think it'll be 2-0.
I'm the same. My gut instinct that it looks onside.
Right, here we go. We're still waiting.
And his armpit might be off.
Yeah, it's that tight these days, isn't it? It's team of Alacari. You can see him with the touchline.
Goal. 2-0 Dundee.
Right, 2-0 Dundee.
It's a red card.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right, guys, we've got a view of that here. Right down in front of the dugout here.
Yeah,
right down in front of the dugout.
Between Tony Watt and Rubicic.
Yeah.
And Rubicic got up and brought his head up and put it right into the chin, it looked like, of Tony Watt. And an aggressive nature, I would imagine. But that was my first take on it. There was no need to throw his head up as quick as what he did up towards Tony Watt. He's maybe just been unfortunate. Didn't realise Tony Watt was there, but...
Right in front of the fourth official, right in front of the dugouts there, Craigs. Right, we're waiting for a replay here. He's of course pleading his innocence. Rubicic there. Tony Watt is backed off. He's having a few words to say, I have to say. Oh, he's giving it big ones there, isn't he? There a bit of body language.
Not like him, is it?
Right, here we are. So he screams at Rubicic. Does that look like contact there?
It doesn't look like much initially. He does get up a little bit quickly, but Tony Watt's kind of over him, shouting at him.
That's what made me think he wasn't aware that Tony Watt's head was where it was. But he got up as if he was going to square up to him. Yeah, it may have just been unfortunate.
Tony Watt's goaded him, and it looks as if Rubicic has had a little nibble, and Tony Watt's got what he's looking for from Rubicic. He's gave the referee a decision to make, and
I think Tony's been goading about 4 of them all afternoon, as Tony normally does.
Yeah,
he's a bit like that.
Yeah, he's one of those just annoying ones. He talks more than he gets more touches.
In between all that, Kenny, Liam Boyce is at the crossbar. I think it was a cross, actually. It's come off the face of the crossbar. So a little bit of a let-off for the home side there.
So the red card has stood. That
here we go.
Has been sent off. And
there's not enough evidence to suggest that the referee's not made the right decision.
He's put his head towards him, hasn't he?
And the initial incident comes from Rubicic, who's tried to buy a foul. He's dived. There's no that's what Tony Watt's saying to him. He has dived looking for a foul. The referee's not gave it, and as he's gave what Tony Watt what he's looking for. He's gave the referee a decision.
And even after that, Tony Watt is still giving it big time to Rubicic.
And Motherwell just scored a wonderful goal. The guy I was talking about, Tawanda Maswanisi, and it's a wonderful goal. It's a dreadful goal from Aberdeen's point of view. It's a long pass of about 65 yards. Maswanisi runs in behind Angus MacDonald. He takes an incredible first touch to pull it down over his shoulder with his right foot. Gives himself a split second to settle himself, and then just puts the ball past Ross Stewart. What a hammer blow from Aberdeen. Go down to 10 players, and now it's 2-0 to Motherwell.
That was a lovely touch, wasn't it? Really, he's a good player, Maswanisi, isn't he? Like him?
Yeah, he's excellent, very exciting. He was outstanding when he came on against Kilmarnock. Just from an Aberdeen point of view, I think the run they're on, they've just had a man sent off. You can't be letting that ball bounce. A straight ball, it's just a straight ball. So easy for Angus MacDonald just to deal with. He's taking a chance, and the form Maswanisi's in, it's outstanding from a Motherwell point of view, but so poor from Aberdeen.
Kenny Rubicic, I mean, he really has got to settle himself down. Someone's got to have a conversation with him to be able to show a bit more composure in his game generally, when he's on the ball, when he's addressing the ball, and in particular when he's going into challenges. When he goes into he gets himself into some strange position. I remember, I think it was a semi-final or the final. He's trying to head the ball, when it's at below knee height over on the touchline, putting himself in danger. But he puts opposition players in danger. He needs to show much more calmness in his game.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, Willie, would that always have to come from the manager? I guess with your stature in the game, when you were playing, you were captain, sometimes it's on his fellow players to have that word.
Well, I think if you can get an experience, I know Angus MacDonald is there this afternoon, but he's had very few games. It's been young Malloy beside him, so I don't think that Malloy's going to try to calm him down. I think he needs a good experience. I know the club are looking for an experienced centre-back, a centre-back as we talk, just to try and calm him down. He's big, he's strong, he's quick. He gets dragged all over the place. He's impetuous. He goes into challenges that he doesn't have to. He tries to win balls that he doesn't have to win either. So I think he needs well coached, but he could be doing with an experienced defender beside him.
Right, let's continue our bounce around the grounds. Let's get to the game at Celtic Park. Celtic at home to St Mirren, and so far so good for Saints. Stephen Thompson.
Yeah, they're doing well to kind of spoil the game and upset Celtic's flow. They've just got a free kick just now that Boyd Muntz is floating into the back post. It's been cleared, but yeah, Celtic, I would say so far pretty disappointing. I mean, Zach Hemming in goal's not had a save to make. There's not been a shot on target in the game, hence why I've not been too vocal. St Mirren have one header, it's always going to go over the bar, and Celtic probably a couple of half sniffs. Nothing's really dropping for them either. It's very quiet, but St Mirren doing well in their back five. They're kind of 4 in front, and Kiltie just latching on to McGregor, trying to stop him getting on the ball. It's been effective, and they've been effective at kind of upsetting Celtic's rhythm. So nothing much to report, but I think St Mirren probably the happier team at this moment.
Adam Ida gets his chance again today. Tom, would you like him?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not overly convinced. I mean, I think a lot of his appearances have been from the bench for Celtic, but for the price that they paid for him, I'm not sure he's worth that amount of money. Clearly, he knows how to score goals, and he's a different option for Celtic, but in terms of being the kind of complete package as a striker, I'm not entirely convinced.
We had that chance for Hearts at Tannadice. Willie, anything at all from the home side?
Not a great deal. Hearts have taken a little bit of control of the game. They've got possession. They've had a couple of opportunities. Musa had a shot from the 18-yard line just outside the box. It was easily saved, I've got to say, but a decent opportunity for him if he managed to get it right or left of Walton, but he didn't manage to do that. And then the boys, it was a kind of a cross comes or a shot come cross, whichever way you want to describe it. It flashes us off the front face of the crossbar. Other than that, there hasn't been any real chances for Dundee United, so I would say that Jim Goodwin will be a little bit disappointed with the start, but maybe not an unusual start. They're well disciplined, they're well set up. They put the 5 at the back. It's really difficult for Hearts to kind of create too much, but at the same time, if you're a home fan, I think you're a little bit disappointed.
Who's had the better of it so far at Rugby Park? Roy Kilmarnock up against Ross County.
Yeah, it's not been a great game so far, I have to say. Ross County have had the better chances, though, to answer your question. They really should have taken the lead through Josh Nisbet. It was a good save from McCrory, and Lewis Mayo left Murray short with a pass. Murray probably could have reacted slightly better, but James Brown intercepted it, ran forward. He tried to cut it back to Jack Greaves. However, the pass wasn't great, and that was a huge opportunity to try and get a shot away and goal from about 5 or 6 yards. So Kilmarnock have huffed and puffed. They've thrown a couple of things in the box. They started well the first 4 or 5 minutes, but to be honest, it's not been a great game so far, and it's still 0-0.
You're listening to Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland. We're on the telly today. BBC Scotland 4:30 until 5:30. We kicked off at midday. Hibs 3, Rangers 3, 2:30 start. Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0. The Dons down to 10 men. Rubicic sent off. Motherwell got the second right after that. Celtic 0, St Mirren 0, Dundee United 0, Hearts 0, Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 0, Alan Preston, St Johnstone 0, Dundee 2.
Another chance for Dundee. It's Lyle Cameron this time. It's good play from the back. St Johnstone trying to break. The ball's broke up. It's played to Cameron. He's at the edge of the box. You expect him to do better. Real quality, but just knocks his shot over the top of the crossbar. St Johnstone fans round me are very, very frustrated, as you can imagine. They get losing by 2 goals to 0 to Dundee.
At half-time at Fir Park, Kenny, Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0.
Yeah, big job ahead for Jimmy Tillian there at half-time to try and get his side back into that game. Alan, just to go back to yourself, Lyle Cameron covering the derby the other night. Ian McCall was there, Jim Duffy was there, both raving about the potential of this boy and thinks that some of the bigger clubs in Scotland should be having a look.
But you're saying the bigger clubs, it would cost money, and there's that which is very rare. And if you're talking about the bigger clubs, is he going to play for Rangers and Celtic? There's my question back to Ian and Jim. I don't think he does.
No, I don't think he does. I don't think he starts. Possibly Rangers.
Where is he going to? Yeah,
Rangers.
but even then you've got Barron there as well with Rascan, and they're doing okay at the moment. But I don't think he plays in any of these teams that could afford to take him. I really don't.
Yeah, it's a good point. He's a good player though, isn't he? Huge potential.
He's a good player. We've had the same discussion with Lennon Miller. Would he go to Celtic and Rangers and play?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Lennon Miller out injured at the moment, but Motherwell certainly not missing him today. Stephen Craig, and your assessment overall of that first half, that moment of madness from Rubicic, albeit he was goaded by Tony Watt, but he should know a hell of a lot better than to react to that.
He should, Kenny. I'd said the opening 10-15 minutes, you could see it was two sides who were a little bit cagey, were struggling for a bit of form, were hoping something was going to fall their way. If anything, Aberdeen looked most likely to get themselves in front. They were the team that were in the ascendancy. Then Motherwell slowly started to turn the screw. Then when they get the opening goal, they relax a little bit more. They then look as if they're enjoying themselves, and they all want the ball, they want to be creative. Tawanda Maswanisi has been a standout player. He's the one player that can go past an opponent. He can do a dribble, he can play little 1-2s, he's got a change of pace. But right on half-time, you're right, Rubicic, we're told it's for a double movement. Apparently there was 2 movements, which means it's non-negotiable for a red card for serious foul play, for violent conduct. So that's why he was sent off. But then that's where Aberdeen are looking for Alexa Graham Shinney and Sivert Nielsen to grab hold of the players and say, we just see it again.
It's not finished yet. Cameron 3-0. This game's done. St Johnstone are struggling. Really, really poor play. It's brilliant on the right hand side by Mulligan. He plays it across. Eventually comes to Cameron and he bends it into that far corner. This game is over. St Johnstone 0, Dundee 3.
This is an absolute shocker, isn't it? I mean, you guys are shaking your head watching the action coming in here.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not what I didn't watch for. I mean, for 20 minutes this happened. St Johnstone commit bodies without ever really being in safe possession. I mean, when they're in safe possession, some good play, some good attacking stuff. But even when they're not, they just commit bodies, and it's a good goal from Dundee's point of view. Brilliant finish from young Lyle Cameron. But that is so easy. That's almost like a training drill.
It's a 3v2
when you're already 2-0 down. And not only that, I mean, Ryan made a brilliant point earlier. You're looking now at the bench. Graham Carey's playing, Sidibe's playing, Kimpioka's playing, Nicky Clark's playing. They've no real goal scoring options on the bench. Where do you turn?
Yeah, well, what about that initial team selection, Alan? When you saw, because you raised concerns at a previous game, didn't you?
They played 4 forwards at once, and they were 2-1 up with a couple of minutes to go, and they kept the 4 of them on instead of seeing the game through, which could have been 3 vital points. They end up losing the game, 2 goals in extra time, and they lose the game 3-2. And that's what I'm saying, though. But we're not, and I'm going to reiterate it, Kenny, we're not dealing with a novice manager here. He's had over 400 games as a manager, and yes, that game is down to him, because he's the one that had, when I watched that day, he had the likes of Cameron and guys like that on the bench, centre half, centre midfield players, that he could have taken off a couple of the strikers and went, right, let's consolidate, let's see out what we've got, there's a few minutes to go. But no, he kept the 4 of them on, so that's on him. I get what the guys are saying in the studio. He's not got a big squad, not much to change. That day he did, and that was on the manager. Today's different. He's only got what he's got. But he's coming on his interview today and says that Franjek's tired. He's played 2 games. Young Wilson at Hearts, who's running about like the Clappers the last 5 or 6.
Yeah.
He's played the same amount of games. He's the same age. A young
Fran's
boy
one
at
of the
17.
He's one of the fittest boys that we've trained
exactly.
with.
Correct. So I've been told. But young boys at 17 have got all the energy in the world. All the energy. And you can't play them today. I find it strange.
The problem is, Alan, the way it sounds and the pictures that we are seeing come in here, this could be any score today. This could be a really hard one for the players to bounce back from.
Well, this is not finished yet. This, I'm telling you now, the goals here are not finished. The way St Johnstone defend, and I've said it all season, defensively they're all over the place. They've got threats up front. They said DB, Kimpioka, Clark and Kirk when he's fit. But defensively, they are all over the place. They're a shambles. And it wasn't addressed at the start with the goalkeeper situation, and it's just been terrible since then. And I find it strange, and Craig's a big pal of mine, Craig Levine, but making Cameron, who comes in from Notts County, who wasn't great anyway, but making him the captain. How can you make a lone player the captain of a football club? What does he know about your football club to make him a captain? And that, for me, was a bad decision by Craig.
Well, that's
they
a
let
good
all
point.
the good defenders go in the summer, didn't they?
Exactly. Big Andy's away.
Wait, did you have an offer to stay? What happened there?
No, I didn't have an offer. I was verbally told I'd have an offer, and then a couple of days before pre-season, there was no offer there. So I never had an option to not go back. I was out of contract. And
do you go asking? I mean, when that offer doesn't come, do you go say what's happening? How do you handle that?
Yeah,
as a
so
player?
I had a meeting with Craig and Andy Kirk probably about a week after the season had finished, and they said that they were keen on keeping me. It probably wouldn't be on the same money that I was on, and it would possibly be a 1-year deal, kind of just feeding out how I was feeling about that. I said I was really happy at the club, was happy to sign that 1 year. I understand I'm getting older as well, so spoke about what my role would be, possibly not starting every single game. Again, comfortable with that. Possibly looking at life after football, so it wasn't that big of a thing. Like I said, looking after my legs a little bit. Probably about went 2 weeks. Didn't really hear anything. Had another called him up, said, is it anything has changed? No, again, agreed. We want to keep you. Nothing's changed. And then it was probably, like I said, probably about 3 days out from, they told me when pre-season was starting that Craig had called me and said, unfortunately, they didn't have anything for me. And, it was a little bit disappointing in the way it was handled, but, I've thoroughly enjoyed my time there. It just left me a little bit behind the 8 ball in terms of, everybody had kind of started pre-season, so I was scrambling a little bit. But, that's kind of how football works. That some people don't actually realise how it works, but
it shouldn't work like that, Ryan. That shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't, but also I understood. They're obviously looking at trying to get other players in and keeping the budget for them, and kind of thinking, right, we'll have Ryan on the sort of back burner if things didn't work out. And
2 changes for St Johnstone.
They obviously went for other players.
2 first half changes.
2 first half changes after 27 minutes.
I always feel these reflect badly on the manager more than the actual player.
That's a good point, isn't it?
Yeah, it just shows you that he's messed up on his team selection. You know, there's not been one or two individuals that have performed that badly in that first 20 minutes. There's been a collective effort from everyone.
I mean, as a player, I remember actually being, it was a European game at Ibrox where Cantwell was taken off after about 29 minutes or something, you know, and you're wondering, how does that affect you as a player? Or maybe some players want off that. Maybe some of these St Johnstone players want totally away from that field right now, because it could be any score.
There's been a few times I've been
to be subbed at that time of the match, Kenny.
No.
Regardless, no.
Regardless,
never.
no.
That walk off the pitch is horrible.
Yeah. Well,
who's the other? Was it Raymond that came off, and who else?
Raymond and Smith have come off, and Essel and Kucheravi have gone on.
Right.
I don't even think those subs were going to help anything.
No.
I think so.
No.
See when you listen to most managers after the game, and there'll be games, maybe Rory's game, Kilmarnock v Ross County, after the game might be decided by a set piece. Managers talk about it's so hard, such a competitive league, such small margins. It's not in the St Johnstone games. St Johnstone in this, Dundee have had situations 3v3s, 3v2s, about 3, 4, 5 times that you maybe go 2 or 3 games of Dundee United, we don't see them ever happening to them. St Johnstone are so wide open that you look at the success of Dundee United, a lot of it is built on that defensive stability. Then they've got a goal scorer up the other end, but they're just wide open.
You've been a captain.
Yep.
You've been a captain. You're on the field of play. You can see this happening around you.
There, Kenny.
Right, take it away, Willie. Yep.
The corner from the left-hand side. It's Craig Halkett at the back post. He's totally unmarked. I think he should do much better with it. He's not been able really to give it, much direction and much power. So Hearts definitely the better team. Definitely creating the better opportunities, and that one, a big one, going a begging as I watch it again, and he's just drifted towards the back post. I think his problem is that he's going back the way, and he can't get much purchase in his leap to get power on the head that he's hitting it on the retreat, and he didn't get enough power. But he was clear at the back post, so poor marking from United.
You're right, Willie. He absolutely should have done better there. If things stay as they are, St Johnstone would be 8 points adrift at the bottom of the Premiership table. A real struggle.
Kenny, I played in a game where we beat Dundee at this time of year 7-2. There's a chance for them to get their own back here. I'm telling you.
Well, I mean,
there'll be goals.
Yeah, listen, Alan absolutely called it. He's not often wrong on open all mics. He called it for goals today, and he was right, given the defensive setups. And Dundee needed this today, because I said, Alan, Tony Docherty was livid after the Derby defeat on Thursday. Yeah,
and it was it 1 win and 5, I think they had. Not been playing great, but when you come to the team bottom of the league, you get that start after a couple of minutes, you build on it, it knocks St Johnstone's confidence. You're then 2 up, in no time at all through 10 minutes, and then you're 3 up. They're not going to see this. They'll go and score more, because St Johnstone are so frail. They're all over the place.
Yeah, Stephen, I was asking you there. So you've been a captain. You look at the team set up. You've seen what's happened week in, week out. You look at your league position. The manager has made the team selection, come up with the tactics. Is there anything during the 90 minutes? Are you over having a word? Would you ever think of trying to change it yourself on the park? Can a player do that? Or?
No, and it's really hard without.
Oh, wait a minute, is that
Goal at Celtic Park.
Yes, Stephen?
Yeah, Celtic have taken the lead. It was good work from McCowan in the midfield. Played Maeda down the left. He crossed it into the middle of the box where Kuhn swept it home. Zach Hemming got a foot to it, but it went into the bottom corner. I mean, that's the first real chance in the whole match for Celtic. St Mirren had been doing so well at keeping them quiet. The game had actually been quite a poor game up until now. The fans are a wee bit frustrated. St Mirren doing well to keep them at bay for so long, but it just shows you give them half a yard and you're punished, and it's 1-0 Celtic.
I know I can be critical of keepers on here, so I've not had a second look. My initial reaction was that wasn't great, Ryan, from Zach Hemming. We're still waiting for a replay to come into the studio here.
Just looked like a typical Celtic goal over the last couple of years, isn't it? A ball down the side, Maeda running through, cut back, and
he's just on, isn't he?
He's on side, yeah.
He's on. Right, so here we go. We're playing out here, so there was a nice ball into the middle, wasn't it? So here we go.
I've played with Zach Hemmings. He'll be really disappointed with that. I played with him down at Kilmarnock. when you go to Celtic Park, your goalkeeper just has to save the ones he should save.
Yes.
St Mirren have been excellent here for 30 minutes, making it really difficult for Celtic. I think he's just got to save that one.
Yeah, it's going to be infuriating, Stephen, isn't it, for Stephen Thompson, because for Stephen Robinson, Stephen, you're holding out there. You're probably looking at half time now. Can we get there? And you've not obviously had a replay, but the keeper had to do better.
Yeah, I mean, it's low at his feet. I'll take your word for it. I mean, St Mirren had been doing so well at frustrating Celtic, and their game plan had been working, albeit St Mirren haven't created anything at the other end of the pitch. I mean, that's the first shot on target in the match, and what we're at 33, 34 minutes. So it's not been a good game, and the Celtic fans have been a wee bit kind of on edge.
Chance for St Johnstone. There's a good ball in by Essel, and it's Clark making the front post run. Little flick on it, just wide of the target for St Johnstone. But at McDermott Park, it is St Johnstone 0, Dundee 3.
Right, so I just want to get back to this as a captain. What you can do.
You never want to overstep the line by calling out a manager, something I never did, even if you think it. I mean, sometimes you do. You're always looking for an excuse of why you're playing badly, because a lot of time when I lost heavily, I was poor already. But what I would say is, especially in the Scottish Premier League, I always wanted to. I was much more. I wanted more to be set up like Jim Goodwin's Dundee United than Simo Valakari's St Johnstone. I wanted to always have a chance of being in the game. I didn't want, and especially once you're 2 or 3-0 down, when the double sub's been made, you sing, please take 2 strikers off. Let's just take our medicine. As Alan Preston said, it could be 7. You don't want it to get worse than that. You want to just get in, and always in these games stay in with a chance of not just winning games, but staying in the league. I don't think you can stay in the league like that.
No, and actually the St Johnstone fan that joined us yesterday in Sports and was saying that hugely concerned, that they will get relegated this season, and then the challenge is, as we know, coming back up. Such a competitive championship every single season.
I listened to that, Kenny. He did say he'd rather get relegated under Valakari, though, or the way he plays, and try and come back up than play the way Stephen's suggesting and, potentially just scrape to safety year upon year. I thought that was quite interesting.
It was actually, because he was the same fan actually, Rory. We had him on last season when St Johnstone were struggling, and he said regardless what Craig Levein did, he would not be going back this season because he couldn't watch that standard of football. And Tom English put it to him, but would you sacrifice that and watch maybe open games that you're seeing today, but knowing you're going to get relegated? And you're right, he said
absolutely, didn't he?
Be careful what you wish for. He wants to be speaking to a Falkirk fan if he wants to think like that.
I think the problem that St Johnstone have got as well is the new investors are not pouring money into this. Jeff Brown would always find money. He used to always do it. I mean, I've worked with Jeff for 7-8 years at St Johnstone. If he needed players, he would always find money to bring. There's no money at this club, I'm afraid, and that's the problem that they've got. And they will bring a couple of players in. 2 have already gone out on big wages for St Johnstone, which they'll be replaced. But there's no money at this football club anymore, I'm afraid.
You'll change your mind if they keep getting beat, though. It doesn't matter how expansive that the manager wants them to play. At some point they might get relegated, but is expansive football in the Championship going to get you promotion as well? The fans want winning football, don't they? That's what they want to see. You'll get away with it as long as you're winning, but if you're not playing well and not winning, it doesn't matter what your approach is to the game, whether it's an attack-minded set-up. I think the fans eventually turn. You might get the odd one. You absolutely might get the odd one, and Kenny, I think you found them there.
I think you did right, and you're right, Willie, because it's similar to what Ryan's saying. As a fan, as a player, if you don't win, it just ruins the weekend, doesn't it? That's what happens.
You don't go to the pub and get a couple of pints and say, after a 5-0 defeat or however it's going to be this afternoon, says, well, we played well there, that was some good football. The fact is that they're not playing well, listening to Alan. So they're not playing well, they're leaking goals. No, it's just a recipe for disaster.
But one thing about Jeff Brown's club, and Ryan will know, or maybe not when he was there, but there'll be relegation clauses in the contracts when Jeff was here. But see the ones that have signed since the new owners have come in, I'm not so sure there'll be relegation clauses in them. So it might be a heavy price to pay.
There must be. I think
was it there when you were there?
Yeah, it was. I think probably
pretty standard.
Yeah, pretty standard across.
Not them all. I know, honestly, Ryan, I know, having working in the industry, that not all clubs put it in, and that's because they always think, we're never going to get relegated. But you've got to have it in.
I guess every time I signed, they thought, there's a chance we could get relegated here.
Get it in there quick.
That's why it was always in there. But it would be interesting to speak to that fan, because he can't be enjoying, all right, they're playing expansive football, this half, they're 3-0 down. I'm sure he would have rather been 0-0 at half time and thinking,
I would love to get him on today, you're right. I would love to get
He was
him on
quite
today.
open, Ryan.
Should we call him up? I'm looking through the producer.
He was quite open in saying, Ryan, that when he was in the house, he would much rather get beat playing the way they do that maybe not 3-0. Oh, Conor Randall with a shot there. Ross County be very good, by the way. Kilmarnock are struggling. There's a few rumblings of the home support. County look good. Nesbitt's good. Jordan White's holding the ball up. Really good away performance so far after a couple of wins on the road. But the fan was very open in saying, and when he sits in the house, he'd rather go down and watch them try to be expansive and lose than sit back and win. It was. I was in the car and I was dumbfounded.
Yeah, I think as Willie said, he's definitely in the minority. Back underway at Fir Park. Stephen Craigan.
Sorry, Kenny, microphone was off there. Yes, 2 subs for Aberdeen. Kevin Nisbet, the guy we were talking about in the first half about his lack of impact, and Angus McDonald's went off. So Aberdeen's 2 central defenders are 2 central midfield players. Gavin Malloy misses out altogether. So it's Polvara and it's Nielsen as the 2 centre halves. So that tells you the problems Aberdeen are having defensively. Of course, Rubicic was sent off in that first half, so no doubt that they'll be trying to Jimmy Tilleen will be trying to bring someone in during the transfer window, but they need the third goal. They get the third goal, this game is on. How often have we witnessed this season already? Teams playing with 10 players against 11. The 11 seem to struggle. Motherwell can't allow that to happen, but Aberdeen desperately need a goal.
Yeah, we've got the fan element back next weekend, 5:30 till 7. So it was John, the St Johnstone fan. So we'll give him a wee shout next weekend. Tune in for that. It should be.
Kenny, the thing is, when you hear managers saying, "Oh, we had all this possession, all this, all that," St Johnstone are 3-0 down. They've had 76% possession. They've had more shots than Dundee. The only stat that counts is the one in the top left-hand corner. If you're watching on the telly, they're getting gubbed.
But is it okay, Alan?
76% possession.
Alan, take that away for a minute, right? So talk about the fan experience.
On
you go, Willie. Yeah.
2 subs here for the home side, which is quite incredible, but understandable because United haven't been at the races, and Van der Sande comes on, Ross Docherty comes on, and O'Dada and Miller Thompson go off.
Quite a few first half substitutions. Another chance, Alan.
Kimpioka this time. Sidibe and Kimpioka. Sidibe wins it, gets the ball, rolls it through to Kimpioka. A lovely step over onto his left foot. It opens up. It's a simple pass into the bottom corner, and he knocks it wide. Incredible.
Yeah, it's quite the game. Very open, you'd have to say, at McDermott Park. We'll get the pictures coming in to the Sports Sound studio here of all the games this afternoon. Earlier we brought you a 3-3 draw. Fantastic game at Easter Road, no doubt at all about that. And we saw the first hat-trick in the top flight in over a year. The last hat-trick was scored by Jordan White, May 2023 for Ross County. There was a hat-trick for Eagleman of Rangers today, but it wasn't enough to get all 3 points, despite the fact they were 2-0 up. A great spirited performance from Hibs, and they thoroughly deserved the point from that game earlier on today. So let's take a wee bounce around the grounds. Let's get to Celtic Park, bouncing back from their disappointment in the Old Firm game. Perhaps not vintage Celtic today, Stephen, but doing enough.
Yeah, doing enough, just, I would say. They've got a corner kick just now, which Engels will take. His delivery's actually been really good this afternoon. But no, I would say it's been a very distinctly average performance from Celtic by their own standards, especially here at Celtic Park. Oh, and it's a goal from the corner, and it's Trusty. The ball in, as I said before, it's very, very good from Engels. Trusty moves off his marker, gets a glancing header into the bottom corner, 2-0. And you can safely say that's St Mirren's afternoon over.
Yeah, I think we can safely say that. Celtic very comfortable now, and the first goal will be such a sickener for Stephen Robinson. Zach Hemming back at the club, of course. He was good there before, but he wasn't good in conceding that opening goal. We can see the Celtic fans in front of us celebrating there. We can also see all the games coming in here. Rory, what's happening down at your game? There's not an awful lot of action.
No, there's not. Ross County have got another corner now. Bad lines, tried to flash one across the goals not so long ago. Jordan Amisa, who's not had a lot to do, to be honest, gathered it no problem at all. County have been good without being great. They've been the better team, I have to say. They've stifled Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock have had to make 4 changes, 2 of which are enforced. Polworth's a right good player in the middle of the pitch, and Vassell's a big miss up top. I think that's why he went with his Cameron to start with. He's more like for like. Watkins is more mobile. But he's not your traditional target man. But yeah, there's not a lot happening. There's not a lot of quality so far today. Kilmarnock played really well on Thursday, but underwhelming today. And the scoreline reflects the quality on show. It's 0-0.
So the midday kick-off: Hibs 3, Rangers 3. 3 o'clock start. Celtic 2, St Mirren 0, Dundee United 0, Hearts 0, Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 0, St Johnstone 0, Dundee 3. 2:30 start at Fir Park. Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0. Rubicic sent off for the Dons just before half time. Have we seen any opportunities for the Dons to get back into this one, Stephen Craigan?
Well, just a little opportunity before you arrived there, Kenny. Aberdeen have gone a 4-3-2, which is sensible because there's no point in playing one striker up the pitch with 3 central defenders. You need 2 people up there. You've got to sacrifice wide areas. They've done that. A breakaway from Topi Keskinen down the left-hand side. Too much pace for Ewan Wilson. Pulled it back and Duke made contact, but unfortunately went wide. But yeah, that's the real first show of strength in the second half where they got men forward.
To Alan Preston, another chance.
Holden, great hit, good save by Ray, diving to his left hand side for a corner to Dundee, who lead by 3-0 with 2.5 minutes to go.
I mean, Alan, it's interesting. See, in the studio here, I'm watching Ryan, I'm watching Stephen's reactions. It's quite something, guys, isn't it? You're watching all the games, your mind, your eyes keep getting drawn to that one, don't they?
There's a chance to square it there.
Yeah, it's because it's like 3v2s, 2v1s every time. Yeah. Every other game you're looking at it and it's the strikers maybe 2 breaking ahead and it's against the back 4. The game that St Johnstone, it's like a 3v2. It's almost like this could be a goal here every single time they go forward.
Well, my point's probably Willie's talking about Dundee United being so poor, they've not really got going. It's still 0-0. They still get a platform to go and win the game. Yeah. St Johnstone being quite bright, loads of possession. Absolutely no chance of winning the game.
Not expansive football here, I can tell you that from the home side. But it's a packed house, by the way, and the fans are happy. So
absolutely.
There you go. If they keep winning, does it really matter?
Yeah, well, I think that's the point. Yeah, you want to come in there? Was it Stephen?
Yeah, it was just to say there's further drama to the incidents at half-time at Fir Park. Richard Foster and Peter Leaven were both shown red cards in the tunnel by Nick Walsh. So clearly something's gone on behind the scenes as well. Fallout from that Rubicic sending off. So it's not just on the pitch where all the action's happening, it's in the tunnel as well.
Like Fozzie, is it?
At least it's not Stuart Kettlewell this week. He spent a fair bit of time in his
Fozzie argue with himself in the mirror.
Yeah, I have to say Stuart was booked in the first half as well.
Oh, was he? Right, okay.
Yellow card. So I think he'll be a bit calmer because his team are winning 2-0.
Yeah, listen, they're very comfortable. And that's the thing, Stephen, that incident happened right in front of the dugouts. I saw the Motherwell bench jumping out there, absolutely furious. And Tony Watt, I mean, he played a massive... Rubicic should never react like that, right? There is no excuse. But Tony Watt's a wily old character, isn't he, Stephen? I mean, he knew exactly what he was doing.
I have to say, I was a bit surprised it was a red card. I know he comes up with his head strongly, but I think the direction was a double movement or 2 movements. I'm not overly sure there was, or it was overly aggressive. Yes, he was a bit upset. I think the threshold's quite low if that's going to be a red card. So I can see his disappointment. However, as I said just before a few minutes ago, Aberdeen have to react better. They can't afford to concede a goal within 30 seconds of that happening, and that's been their undoing.
Half time at Celtic Park, Kenny, 2-0 Celtic.
Thanks, Stephen.
Willie, how's Craig Gordon getting on? 42 years of age, and 3 years ago he broke his leg. That was the last time he was at Tannadice.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And Halkett cruciate, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it was a horrible challenge. He's doing well, yeah. I mean, he hasn't had a great deal to do, Alan, but what he has, when he has been called upon, cross balls and, couple of strikes at goal, but nothing really testing. So I think Jim Goodwin would have hoped, hence the 2 substitutions, I would suggest that he would have been tested more. But great to see Craig Gordon, 42-year-old, quite incredible.
Welcome back to listeners who've been tuned into the commentary from Celtic Park. Celtic leading St Mirren by 2-0. Just talking about Craig Gordon, we touched on earlier, these saves to be sure they got all 3 points against Motherwell. Outstanding.
Half time at Rugby Park, Kenny, 0-0.
Thanks, Rory.
Yeah, and I heard obviously in the summer that he was a little bit keen on going to St Johnstone. We let off a little rumour there, but
really?
Yeah, I heard obviously because Xander Clark was sort of number 1 and Craig wanted to play. I think obviously having worked with Craig Levine before, there was, I was hearing strong whispers that was a viable option for St Johnstone. It was one that they didn't go down. So I don't know how far down the road it went, but I know that Craig was open to joining St Johnstone if that was to arise, but
that would, my goodness, would have them.
I don't know how it's possible, but Ryan's just made the St Johnstone fans' day worse.
I'm going to make it even worse.
Right?
Their highest paid player at the club has not kicked a ball for them this season.
Uche?
Yeah, not a kick.
Yeah, he
having a nice time down in Cumbria on New Year and Christmas, but not kicked a ball for the club.
But I mean, that's another striker, isn't it? I mean, that's the problem is at the back. And Alan, you're saying there's not a lot of money to spend there, but a goalkeeper and at least
Here we
one.
go again. Well, here we go again. Tiffany. Just honestly, St John. Again, they've got to commit bodies forward, but it's man for man. Sometimes they're a man light.
Right. Ryan McGowan has got his head in his hands. Steve McGowan has got both his hands on top of his head.
Listen, if you've caught it, you might get a game for St Johnstone in the goals. If you've caught your head.
You're right. If they could have got Craig Gordon, what a difference that could have made. His experience, his knowledge of the game. They are really. We've seen the pictures there. Simo Valakari. He's got his hand in his chin, pondering, I'm sure, what on earth he can do in this second half. But I think the reality is nothing to get anything out of this game, given how dominant Dundee have been.
Damn limitations.
We go to Ibrox next.
You can give him the phone number of that fan that you spoke to.
Do you know what, Will? That's a good shout. That is a good shout. What about these Hearts fans then? It's been a lean season for them, Willie Miller, but a better showing in the first half at Tannadice?
Yeah, very good showing. They've dominated the game. 1,800 of them that has made the journey through. A crowd of 10,000 here, Kenny. But the home fans have been quiet. I will be interested to hear the reaction at half time to see if the home fans are happy enough with the display. I don't think the manager is. It's been a poor effort from them, but it has made the changes. He hasn't been frightened to make early changes. But Hearts have been the more dominant team. Created the better opportunities. 3 decent opportunities they've created, and really played the better football as well.
Eddie Wumi with a brilliant run, and it's Mikulic. He just fires it across the goal. Mikulic has not got a clue where it's going. It hits his right shin, just goes wide of the target, almost 4-0.
Yeah, just watching that there, it's hard to take your eyes off that game because we've got one screen which got the Motherwell Aberdeen game on it full screen. The other game's got the TV split into the 4 games. But every time I look up, my eyes are drawn to McDermott Park.
There's a couple of situations where we've obviously got a slight delay, a couple of seconds in the footage. See if you press pause, St Johnstone are actually in a good shape.
0-0.
They're in a good shape.
Thanks, Willie.
It's like any sort of play, any sort of kind of ball into the box, they look like they might concede, and it should be a situation where they're in control defensively.
Yeah, they certainly are struggling. Just seeing pictures of Liam Boyce coming off there. He's certainly added to Hearts.
At McDermott, St Johnstone 0. You can hear the boos. Dundee well on top 3.
Yeah, major problems for Simo Valakari. Very nice indeed for Tony Docherty bouncing back from that huge disappointment in the Dundee derby. So let's get back to Stephen Craigan well into the second half there. Just seen the Dons in the attack there, Stephen.
I have to say, Kenny, Aberdeen have been so much better with 10 players. Sometimes there's a conscious effort that when you go down a player, everyone has to work. Nicky, they should be 2-1. Nicky Devlin with a shot across goal. I think it's Kofi Bammer may get a touch on it, but it looked as if Duke was just going to head it in at the back post.
What a chance.
But it just shows you, subconsciously the players have taken something on board. There's more energy about the team. They're retaining the ball better. And Motherwell look as if they're the team with 10 players. There's a bit of panic around the stadium. There's 3 or 4 boys in front of me jumping about, waving their arms. Motherwell winning 2-0, and it feels as if they're losing 2-0. So Aberdeen have all the momentum, but they need a goal to try and put a little bit of doubt into Motherwell.
Yeah, just a reminder, it was a 2:30 start at Fir Park, so we'll keep Stephen Craigan's mic open there. So if you hear anything at all, Stephen will give us a wee shout on that. Our commentary match this afternoon comes from Celtic Park. Celtic at home to St Mirren. Stephen Thompson is on open all mic's duty for us. Our commentary team there, Pat Bonner and Alistair Lamont.
Thanks, Kenny. Celtic 2,
Football from Sports Sound.
Brilliant drop of the shoulder. What a goal!
From BBC Radio Scotland.
There's no substitute.
Take 2 out.
Yeah, that wasn't quite what I was expecting. That was quite the introduction there. Celtic 2, St Mirren 0 at half time. It's been a curious one because St Mirren for half an hour or so defended really well organised, causing a couple of problems of their own, certainly getting up the park a fair bit. The only threat to Zach Hemming back in the St Mirren goal after coming in on loan again was in a couple of minutes when Engels put a really good ball into the box, and Adam Ida should probably have done better than head just wide of the post. But beyond that, St Mirren had kept Celtic at bay, but they were carved open just beyond the half-hour mark. The ball was played through to Maida in the left channel, and he hit a ball into the box for the onrushing Nicholas Kuhn, who hit it first time under the body of Zach Hemming
to make it 1-0. Nicholas Kuhn with their 15th goal of the season. What a season he has been having. And just before the interval, they doubled that advantage. Engels again was involved with a corner kick this time from the left-hand side, and Austin Trusty made the near post run, glanced it to the far post and into the net it went for his first Celtic goal to make it 2-0. Really, I think that probably the only 2 shots on target, Packy, but you probably, I mean, can St Mirren feel hard done by to be 2 goals down at the interval, would you say?
Yeah, you could say that, obviously, because they grew back into the game after the first probably 5-10 minutes when Celtic really started with a flurry and got themselves higher up the pitch. But that second goal just changes the whole context of this game, and the manager Stephen Robertson will be sort of going into that half-time sort of discussion with his players, and now he will have to change his narrative and almost trying to get them to be a little bit more progressive, even more than they have been in the first half, and try to get something back in this game, because the longer the game goes, if they don't get into it, then the game just drifts away from them. And Celtic, you could see them going on, maybe scoring 1 or 2 more, but Celtic be delighted to get that goal just before half time.
Yeah, does change things. You would have to say Celtic on course for a 7th straight win over St Mirren, and to move 13 clear of Rangers at the top of the table. It's Celtic 2, St Mirren 0.
Thanks to Al and to Pat. Full second half commentary to come from them. Celtic against St Mirren. Stephen Thompson on open all mics duty for us. Dundee United are at home to Hearts this afternoon. There for us, Willie Miller.
Yeah, Kenny, in a half-time, it's goalless here, unfortunately. It's not been a great game of football. Certainly Dundee United sitting third in the table. You're expecting more from them, but Hearts have been the better side, so much so that Jim Goodwin made changes in the second half, 3/4 of the way through that second half, and O'Dada went off, Thompson went off, and Rinder Sandy came on, and Ross Docherty in the midfield. Craig Gordon has not had a shot to save. He's had a couple of crosses to deal with, and he's been pretty effective in dealing with the crosses. The chances have fallen to the visitors. 18-yard line, just outside the box. Musa has a shot. He didn't get enough direction on it. Decent kind of a power behind the strike, but it was straight at Walton, who took it pretty easily. Liam Boyce then had a cross-come shot that skiffed off the front face of the crossbar. Could have easily have dropped in because Walton was off his line, so he was relieved to see it slide off the bar and go out to the left-hand side. Then Craig Halkett should have done better from a corner. He managed to escape his marker. He was running back the way. Unfortunately for him, he couldn't get enough purchase on his jump to get power in the header, and it was a rather weak header at the back post. Should have done a lot better. Other than that, there hasn't been any great opportunities. The play has been not entertaining. There's a 10,000 crowd here, 1,800 coming from Edinburgh to support the visitors, and they've been disappointed. I'm sure that Jim Goodwin will have been disappointed with the performance, but it is still 0-0, and I don't think he'll care if he can manage to turn that round and get an all-important goal and take the 3 points from this game. That would make it 4 victories in the trot. So all to play for in the second half. We hope it's better. 0-0 here at Tannadice.
Yeah, let's hope things improve there. Also, I think that's a same comment that would apply to your game at Rugby Park. Rory Loy, Kilmarnock against Ross County.
Yeah, I mean, you could literally lift, copy and paste Willie's half-time report up at Tannadice, and down here's the same, because Kilmarnock are the home side, they're higher up in the table, and it's the away side who have been slightly better and had the better of the chances. Without being, great, they have been the better side, and of course it is 0-0 at half-time as well. Now, there's been no changes from Derek McInnes other than an enforced one when Cameron Innes had to hobble off and Marley Watkins came on. I feel sorry for Cameron Innes actually, because he's waited a long time, Innes Cameron for an opportunity. And he's got it today because Vassell's injured and he's had to hobble off injured himself after a few minutes. On 13 minutes, Josh Nisbet's one-on-one with Robbie McCrory. He should have done better. He should have scored, in my opinion. I think if he lifts his head, shows a little bit more composure, which he has shown over the last few weeks in certain areas, he may have put his team 1-0 up, but it was saved by Robbie McCrory. He made himself big, he spread himself and made the save. On 32 minutes, Captain Randall forced McCrory into another save where he tipped a shot over the bar. County have had a good few corners and looked more threatening, but without battering down the door or anything close to that. And as Willie says, hopefully things improve down here in the second half as well as at Tannadice, because it's 0-0.
Thank you to Rory Loy. Let's then get to a game that has had plenty of goals and plenty of drama. St Johnstone at home to Dundee. Let's hear from Alan Preston.
At the half-time score, Kenny, St Johnstone 0, Dundee 3, and Zelly's 2 minutes, Dundee took the lead. It's a free kick played in, the keeper Ray comes out, he drops it under a little bit of pressure, not a foul for me. It drops eventually to Simon Murray, back to goal. Gets turned and knocks it home with his left foot for 1-0. It was 2-0 in 10 minutes. A corner headed out by St Johnstone to Cameron at the edge of the box for Dundee. He played it back in. Murray nods it across, and Palmer Hold'em was there, albeit another Dundee player was behind him to knock it into the back of the net. Lyle Cameron then had a shot over, but it was 3-0, and Cameron get in on the act in 22 minutes. Ashley with a great run down the right. His cross picked out Cameron, and he first touched the control. Second one, he bends it into the far corner. 3-0, 22 minutes. St Johnstone had a couple of chances. Essel cross with a Clark header just wide. Then Sidibe to Kimpioka cuts inside with the whole goal, and he blasts his shot wide as well. But just before half-time, it was almost 4-0. Palmer Hold'em, well, wonderful strike. Good save by Ray. One total domination. This game's done. It's all about how many. Half-time score, St Johnstone 0, Dundee 3.
Thanks to Alan Preston, a choice of listening once again on Sports and for commentary of Celtic against St Mirren, tuned to digital 810 medium wave and BBC Radio Scotland Extra on BBC Sounds. For open all mics, tuned to BBC Radio Scotland on 92 to 95 FM and BBC Sounds. And you can follow all the action live online, bbc.co.uk/Sports Scotland. You're listening to Open All Mics on BBC Radio Scotland. I'll run down the scores for you. A full card in the top flight today. It finished at lunchtime. Hibs 3, Rangers 3. Half-time score, Celtic 2, St Mirren 0, Dundee United 0, Hearts 0, Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 0, St Johnstone 0, Dundee 3. A reminder, we're on the telly today. We're on BBC Scotland from 4:30 until 5:30. Sports Sound on the radio. We'll be with you right through until 6 o'clock. Let's then get to the game that kicked off at 2:30. Fir Park, Motherwell at home to Aberdeen. What's happening? Stephen Craigan.
Well, there's a bit of a nervousness around Fir Park, and believe it or not, they're winning 2-0 at home against Aberdeen, and about 5 minutes ago there was some boos. I think it's just a real sense of frustration.
Ridiculous, is it? No, honestly, come on.
It just feels a real sense of frustration because they're not utilising their spare player. They're still throwing the ball back to front, giving the ball away easy, taking too many touches. But I have to say, Duke is the one Aberdeen player who has given his team a lifeline. He's a good running power. He's now playing up front alongside Toby Keskinen. He's causing Motherwell problems. They haven't really had any clear-cut opportunities other than that one I mentioned about 10 minutes ago. So the onus is on Motherwell to try and control the game and control the tempo, but they also have to remember they've got to go forward and they've got to try and score more goals. You can't just sit and absorb your 2-0 lead and hope to see it over the line, and that's what's happening.
You play against Duke last season, Ryan. He looks an absolute handful, so fast.
Yeah, he's just got everything that you don't want as a fullback to be coming up against. Good close control, pace, can go either side, carries a goal threat. His probably only downfall is that he's not that tall to come in at the back post, but yeah, he's just one of those players that when you were coming up against Aberdeen, you was hoping that he was on the other side, the other wing, or not playing at all. But
who's the one you absolutely dreaded playing against? It's the last season top flight. Kyogo.
Yeah, he's just constantly offside. The way that he plays, that was sort of an Ange Postecoglou special. He wants his striker to be offside, and so then he can sort of slide through the wingers, and then you're just playing catch up. You're always chasing them, but probably Kyogo would be one that you just know, especially when you're playing Celtic. They seem to have 12, 13 players on the pitch at some points, and it feels like you're in a bit of a washing machine in the 18-yard box, just trying to defend everybody. But yeah, he was probably one of the ones I struggled with. And then in my younger years, Forrest, I just felt he always scored against me when he was at Celtic, and he was just so direct. He was almost like that old school winger where he'd just get it and just run at you. And I remember a couple of times you get a tackle and you're thinking, I'm doing well. Next one he skips past you and you're on a yellow card, and then you're just treading hot water for the rest of the game. So he was one, again, similar age to me, and we're kind of coming through at the same time, that I always was praying that he was on the other side when we came up against him.
Yeah, Kuhn, of course, is a new threat at Celtic. Stephen Thompson there for us today. You were saying, Stephen, Celtic not at their best today. Brendan Rodgers will be delighted with the scoreline, but he'll be looking for a whole lot more in terms of performance.
Yeah, I would say so. But I think off the back of the result against Rangers and with what happened to Rangers earlier on, dropping even more points, then the victory is obviously very, very important just to get back on track. You want to keep a clean sheet. They've not conceded here in a while, so yeah, I mean, it's been comfortable for Celtic in terms of defensively sitting on half.
Oh, I think we just lost the line there to Stephen Thompson. We'll get him back. St Mirren 2-0 down at Celtic Park. Stephen Craigan.
Off the crossbar, Aberdeen. I'm trying to say, is it Leighton Clarkson? I think it is, with his right foot. Fizzes the shot towards goal. Aston Oxford waves his hand in the air, gets absolutely nowhere near it. And Motherwell are lucky still to be 2-0 up. Aberdeen are really putting on the pressure.
Beautiful strike, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's really capable of that. That will be the frustration. Motherwell fans probably don't want to be booing, but when it's 10v11, there's almost that expectation from the crowd saying, how is he able to get his head up and get a shot? They've got one less player. But Aberdeen, they are throwing caution to the wind. The game's done for them. It's gone at half time, so they've just went out and had a go, and really interesting if they can get that next goal.
Yeah, it was just off the underside of the bar as well. It was a beautiful strike from Leighton Clarkson there, and he's making more changes. Jimmy Tulane, Stephen.
Yeah, as he's brought on James McGarry in place of Jack McKenzie, and he's brought on Shaden Morris just for sheer pace up the top. He's took off Topi Keskinen because clearly he's witnessed already with the running power of Duke and the running power of Topi Keskinen on a few occasions. He got him behind that Motherwell back three. But Stephen's saying sometimes when you play with 10, you take a step forward into the game because you have to. And then when you're playing with 11, you take a step off to try and relax and enjoy the game. So it almost counteracts each other. That's exactly what's happening at the minute. Aberdeen are the aggressors. They're the team stepping forward and taking the risks and taking the gambles. And Motherwell are the ones are now starting to clock watch and think, when's this game going to be over?
You think as well, the quality of Lennon Miller, and a lot spoken about, Stephen, but is he the one they're missing to just get his foot in the ball and just calm everyone and kind of move it side to side and don't give Aberdeen any hope?
I think he's the different one in midfield. I often speak about your brother being the different one as a centre half because he can do that. He can step into the game and he can play passes and take the sting out of the game. Lennon Miller can do that further up the pitch. Andy Halliday doesn't really do it. He, for me, wants to play too negative at times. And Zdravkovsky goes about kicking people and breaking up play. So they don't have someone to dictate the tempo and slow it down and speed it up and dictate proceedings. You're spot on.
Yeah, well, Aberdeen giving it a right go in the second half after that red card shown to Rubicic just before the break, but they trail Motherwell by 2-0 at Fir Park. It was a 2:30 start there. Let's get back to Willie Miller at Tannadice. Willie, Dundee United still in the game, but not a great performance in that first half. You'd expect something different from them in the second period?
Well, you would think so. You know, it's a home game. You know, they're up there in third spot. It's a big crowd as well, and you would hope that they could turn it around and get a little bit of control of the game. You know, by no means are they out of it, and obviously the scoreline 0-0. They've got that opportunity. They're still looking reasonably strong at the back, but they've got a lot of players back there. You know, they're playing with the 5, and it tends to be 5 that they're playing rather than the 3, so I would imagine that Jim Goodwin would be hoping to get the wing backs much further forward. We've seen them, they're definitely a threat with the throw-ins. The long throw-ins into the box is a definite threat, but so far Hearts have dealt with it, and I think Neil Critchley will be more than happy with the Hearts performance, just probably missing that goal, that finishing touch, but they've had a lot of possession. And they've had 1 or 2 opportunities, so I think it's very, very evenly poised here. It could go either way, and you wouldn't bet against United getting a late goal. They do it quite often, don't they?
Yeah, they've done it many times this season. We'll hear the managers between 5 and 6 on Sports, and also for Hibs and Rangers fans tuned in because of the kick-offs times today. We didn't get the post-match reaction from either manager. We'll play them out between 5 and 6 on Sports Sound. You're back underway there at Rugby Park. Rory, things any better?
No. They're really not. I mean, I've watched a lot of good games this season, but this is by far and away the poorest I've seen. You know, balls changing hands constantly, people giving the ball away, passing it out the pitch. As I said, I've watched a lot of good football this season, but this is certainly way down the list of ones that I've enjoyed.
So if you're Derek McInnes, you're looking at the way things are going, right? What would you be looking to change in the game, Rory? Well,
he likes to play his 4-4-2. Now, I would always be reluctant to take Bruce Anderson off. I thought Kyle McGuinness made a real difference when he came on, so I would stick with Watkins and Anderson up front, but I thought McGuinness made a big difference when he came on, and I know Bobby Wales has made a huge impact off the bench when he's come on as well. You know, local lad adds that bit of spark. He's a good technical player. I think a couple of substitutions. He probably will wait to around the 60-minute mark because they're not under a great deal of pressure. I don't think that Ross County are going to go up and score, but I would be looking to the bench before long, because 4-4-2 is the system he plays. It works well for him. I wouldn't be too drastic and be changing shape and things like that, but a couple of substitutes if the game still is like this after the next 5-10 minutes, because it's pretty drab.
Another chance at McDermott, Alan.
This time for St Johnstone. So Deeby down the right hand side, he actually does well, picks out Kimpioka, he knocks it back to Nicky Clark, and his shot a ricochet and just away. No real threat for Dundee, but St Johnstone need to get the next goal. If it goes 4, this place will empty.
Yeah, you would think that's definitely the case. It was interesting watching the pictures coming in of Simo Valakari. He just looked a bit lost there, and perhaps a bit in shock as well, just how quickly the game was beyond them. That's the thing, isn't it, Stephen? Because looking at the timings of the goals there, they were all so early on. 3, 10, 22, game done.
Yep, you're not giving themselves a platform in the game, because they said you feel like you keep repeating yourself, but they're creating good opportunities, but it's picking and choosing when you go. Wait till you've got safe possession, then you can play into the other team's half. Don't just go because you go, and that's just what you do. Even I think one of the set pieces you see out the corner of the screen, both strikers, before they've even defended the situation, they're starting to run towards the other half. But no team, probably out with maybe Celtic and Rangers, can afford to just totally commit bodies at all times.
Alan, it's interesting when we look at the table, looking at the live table right now. The battle for the top 6 places is going to be fascinating. It's going to be tougher, I think, than it was last season. I think that's fair to say.
Aye.
Motherwell 30 points, St Mirren 27, Hibs 26, and D 25, Killie 25, County 23, Hearts 21 points. It's hard to call right now.
It is. I think that's where it is, because the title's done. Rangers are second. The battle for third in Europe's on. Everybody hopes that Aberdeen pick up. United have got that at the moment. A stranglehold on that. The top 6 is a battle, and then also that elusive 11th place. County have been there the last couple of years. They managed to beat St Johnstone 1-10. Sorry. Just as I've said, that's going to be another shot for St Johnstone. It's out to Kimpioka here. Ross County have been in that battle twice.
Yeah.
So they know they're time served at that as well. So, but they'll be hoping that it's Hearts. They'll be hoping that it's a Dundee. Just as I say, Dundee breakaway again. Again, it's man for man. He's through. It's a great run. Can he score? Nah. Good. Once again, St Johnstone. You can hear the fans. It's Sanders that eventually gets back. But it's Eddie Woomy. He runs 40-50 yards at the centre half. Dips his shoulder, goes to his left, gets a shot away for a corner. But what I hear the guys saying there, St Johnstone they should have a couple of defensive midfield players that will sit in front of the centre halves. They don't have that. Everyone just piles forward. And that has to be down on the manager, because he's telling them. When I look at Hearts, when Beningame plays, he'll sit. When I look at Hibs, it's Newell will sometimes sit, or Triantis will sit. Every club's got people that will sit. St Johnstone don't. They just all pile forward.
Yeah. As I keep saying, 4:30 on the telly, do yourselves a favour, tune in and watch the reaction of the guys in the studio every time Dundee go forward, because it is quite something this afternoon. Chance after chance, albeit St Johnstone, of course, have had their chances, but the game was done after about 20 odd minutes there at McDermott Park. We're drawing towards full time at Fir Park, Stephen Craig, and you have to give a lot of credit, I think, to Aberdeen in the second half.
I have to, Kenny. They've been brilliant. They really have. The frustrating thing for Jimmy Tillema will be how come we couldn't be as dominant or as forceful as this when we had 11 players on the pitch. I'm sure you'll have that discussion in-house, but certainly they've shown plenty of character in the second half. It's easy when you're getting beat 2-0, you're a player down, just to sit in the game and say, well, we'll just roll through it and get to the final whistle. But they haven't. They've taken the game to Motherwell. They've been aggressive in possession. They've went man for man at the back. So if they're going to make strides forward and eventually end this winless run, if it doesn't come today, then this has to be the benchmark for moving forward into the next game.
Willie, would you have concerns at all that the Dons may not finish in the top 6 this season? I'm saying how tight it is below them. They've obviously got a wee bit of a buffer there, but that would have seemed ridiculous, wouldn't it, a few weeks ago?
It would, Kenny, and even as we sit here, it would still seem ridiculous, but it's possible.
Yeah.
It would be quite an amazing fall from grace for Jimmy Tillema, but I do think that he's got enough experience, and listening to Craig's there as well, the way he's changed things to get a performance down to 10 men And when I watched them, I really enjoyed the Celtic performance, you know, the 2-2 game at Celtic Park when they were 2-0 down, and his attitude towards how they were going to play in the second half. So, you know, you hope that he gets a bit of support in the transfer window.
What does he need, Willie? What's the priorities up top?
He needs a striker, but I do think he needs a wee chance here in the box for Dundee United. Another strike over the bar. It was Van der Sande that had the first effort, and then I think it was Ryan Strain that had the second one, put it over the bar. I think midfield, I think they're okay. Wide areas, I think they're okay. They definitely need a number 9, and they definitely need centre backs, so maybe a little bit of cover for Nicky Devlin as well. So that's what I would be looking at. But they definitely the manager needs support. If they're going to have a long-term plan, they've got to give him a bit of support. Not easy during the January window, I know that, but you know, get some fresh faces and just to try and lift the mood a little bit.
Just on that, Willie, we had an Aberdeen fan on yesterday. Tom Inglis was in, as you heard, and Michael was in as well.
Yeah.
And there was quite an interesting debate. Michael was saying, not convinced about Shinnie and Sivert Nielsen in the middle of the park. He's not sure Sivert Nielsen is a long-term answer for the Dons. What are your thoughts on that combination?
Well, I think he's 32, Nielsen, and he's played a full year. He hasn't had a close season either, and I think the energy has gone from there. Married to Nielsen he's an experienced player. He's a communicator, and you don't see many players, you don't hear many players actually talking through the game. I watch him even in warm-ups, and he's talking all the time. He's a nice, neat, tidy player. But I don't think the legs, he's not going to run away from anyone, but you know, he's got good vision as well. He can play a pass, although early part of the season I didn't think he had that in him. And Shinnie's getting to that stage as well. So yeah, but they've got Palaversa, they've got Polvara as well that can play in there too. So you know, they've got decent cover. Clarkson's a very good player. McGrath, if he can make his mind up and stay, would be an asset. So no, I just think, off the bar, what the strike. That was for Hearts. It was Blair Spittle on the right foot. He's a good 30 yards out there, and he's just flicked the ball towards goal. Yeah, great technique, and so unfortunate to see it rattle off the crossbar. Walton beaten, I would suggest, if that creeps underneath the woodwork, and they're still on it over the bar though. Musa on that occasion just leaning back and putting it well over the bar. So again, Harps taking it to Dundee United, and Dundee United struggling to get a foothold in this game. But as far as Aberdeen's concerned, yeah, the manager needs support. If they're going to be a long-term project, then you've got to give them some cash, whether it's this transfer window or both windows, this one and the summer.
Yeah, Spittles just shows that quality that he has. Not only his free kicks on goal, but I think from his corners and set pieces, I think he's been a real bright spark for Hearts. Him and Penrice have probably been the only ones this season who have really kind of stood up to the challenge. But again, played with Blair at Dundee United, and he's been one that's had a really good career, considering he had to go up to Ross County. He was at Motherwell, and he's just a really just good quality player, especially in this league, and he's just always seems to come up with big important goals, assists. He's a player that I like a lot, and I'm glad that he's doing well at Hearts.
Lunchtime kick-off, Hibs 3, Rangers 3. You'll hear post-match reaction from the managers later in the programme. Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0. Drawing towards full-time there was a 2:30 start. Celtic 2, St Mirren 0, Dundee United 0, Hearts 0, with that chance there for Hearts crashing off the bar. Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 0, St Johnstone 0, Dundee 3. A horror show from the home side so far at McDermott Park. Let's go back to Rory. It's been a frustrating day, I think, for Derek McInnes and his players down there against County, who have improved on the road in recent weeks, Rory.
Yeah, there's been so many unforced errors in this game, Kenny. Honestly, the passed the ball. David Watson's passed one out the pitch under no pressure. Noah Kenna's done it a couple of times. In the last 10 minutes, the ball has went out the pitch from a player under no pressure whatsoever. You don't like saying it, but you need to call it as you see it. The quality has been really, really substandard in this second half. And one thing that strikes me is that no players on the pitch are really having a pop or having a go. You know, if you pass the ball out the pitch 10 yards, you know, Stephen McGinn was my captain at St Mirren. If I did that or anyone else did that, Stephen would be the first one to come in and say, come on, you know, it needs to be better, and you would be able to see it.
Stephen was the one doing it, wasn't he?
Well, yeah.
No one said anything.
But as a matter of point, you know, I'm looking around and they're quite happy. They're just kind of accepting that that's just what's happened. Derek McInnes isn't. He's not happy on the pitch, but yeah, I'm surprised because I thought Kilmarnock after Thursday would have been buoyant. Ross County have been okay. Kilmarnock have been okay, but overall it's not been a great spectacle at all.
How's to put my Aussie hat on, how's young Nisbet done in the middle of the pitch for County?
He's found good areas, Ryan, so he's running beyond the Kilmarnock defence quite a lot. He's getting in behind. You know, after that he needs to kind of hold it up and wait for his midfield to get up and support. So he showed good game intelligence and things, but end product has been lacking ever so slightly. He's had a couple of opportunities to put the ball into good areas, but you can tell you know, he's an intelligent player, knows what he's doing. It's just like most players today, the quality has been lacking ever so slightly.
Stephen Craigan, you'll understand why there was a big smile on the face of Steve McGinn just a minute ago here in the studio.
Yeah, because Callum Slattery come on. First time in over a year. And of course Paul McGinn come on as well. But at this stage of the year, Kenny, the window's open and managers are looking for players to add to the squad. Motherwell have got Jack Vale back, who I thought was excellent on loan from Blackburn. Paul McGinn, who's a club back, captain who's back, and Callum Slattery coming back. So that's like 3 new signings at the club. So that will certainly boost them moving forward. I think they needed some competition for places. They needed a little bit of freshness. So I think those 2 guys in particular, Paul McGinn and Callum Slattery being back, is a huge bonus.
Fantastic for him. What's he like? I know everyone's different when you're out injured. What's your brother like?
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty consistent, Paul. He's a bit different to me and John. Me and John really struggle. We have ups and downs. Paul's always been really consistent, but I know he's always been quite a quiet type, and I know how much the captaincy, he's actually been given the captaincy, what it's meant to him, and he's really kind of developed into a big leader at Motherwell. And I know missing the semi-final especially was huge for him. He was absolutely devastated. He was really looking forward to leading Motherwell out in a game they thought they could win. But yeah, now that once you get back fit, he's just been desperate to get back onto that pitch.
Scotland fans will be desperate for me to ask this, because we gave a wee update on your brother John taking off at Villa yesterday. What's the latest?
Yeah, well, he had quite a bad hamstring injury a couple of months ago, which kept him out for, I think he was out about 6 to 8 weeks, and I was frantically trying to get a hold of how bad it was, because although Aston Villa have got some huge games coming up in Monaco, Arsenal, from our point of view in this country, there's quite a big one coming up against Celtic. Yeah. So the immediate thought is he going to be fit? And the positive news is it's not quite as bad. It's not as sore when he woke up today, and even when you told me yesterday he was able to walk off, having had hamstring injuries in the past. That's a really good sign. So yeah, we're hoping maybe miss the Monaco one, but never know for Celtic.
That's also some fantastic games to look forward to.
Yes, sorry. Park, Kenny, Kyle McGuinness and Bobby Wales are coming on, but he's taken Marley Watkins off and Liam Donnelly. Now I can only assume because Watkins is coming back from injury, he had no choice but to put him on to play the way he wanted to play. But it looks like Bobby Wales is going to play up front with Bruce Anderson, and McGuinness will go in the midfield. So that's the 2 changes that I kind of expected, and I just wonder whether that'll give the crowd and everyone else a little bit of a lift, because McGuinness has got great quality and Wales has got it as well, but a little bit younger, but fingers crossed he can bring something to this game.
Yeah, the game's crying out for quality there. Celtic on course for a fairly standard routine victory at home to St Mirren. Stephen Thompson.
Yeah, the second half's been slightly better from Celtic in terms of tempo and chances created. Hemmings made a couple of good saves. They've had one just go past the post from Gogic. They're looking more dangerous, and the tempo's certainly improved in the second half. St Mirren made a triple sub. Oisin Smith, Oseni, the new signing, and a Younger coming on for Ahara, Olasanya and Kiltie, but St Mirren have really not been in Celtic's final third this whole second half. We did have a power cut, so that was reasonably exciting.
Yeah, we lost commentary for a short time, apologies for that, but we're back up and running at Celtic Park. Celtic on course for 3 points against St Mirren this afternoon, 2-0 up there in that game. Well, we've got all the games coming in here, but each time I look up at your game, I know it's not a classic. Oh, wait a minute, Alan.
What a chance for Sidibe, good hit, just wide of the target. Dundee caught short for once at the back. Nicky Clark's trying to join in, but Sidibe goes on his own. I think he's got to take it on a little bit further. because he's 1v1. The defender's almost in the box, but he lets fly from about 25 yards just wide of the target.
Yeah, well, when I look up, it looks as if Hearts are the more threatening team there at Tannadice.
There's no doubt about it. It's been the same, for the entire game, really. A corner coming in there, Penrice whipping it in, and for me, I think Moose has got to actually make a dive. He's got to. He kind of doesn't make the dive. It's there to be had. He's only a few yards out as well. You'd have thought it would be worth, being brave and just trying to get his head on it. If he would have made any kind of contact, I reckon it would have ended up in the back of the net. But no, Hearts have been the better team. Kenny, and United don't seem bothered about it. They seem okay to be just sitting back. Even the crowd seem to be accepting, although a little bit of groan there, obviously. When they're getting a little bit frustrated. But it's maybe the Jim Goodwin way. He's going to just keep it nice and tight, and then hopefully maybe as the game goes on that they can get a chance or two. They haven't had any chances really in the game, so hugely disappointing in terms of chances created. But for Hearts, it's been a decent game. They've created the opportunities, they haven't taken it. They've hit the bar twice as well, so there's no doubt that Neil Critchley will be happy with the performance, but maybe disappointed with the result as it stands just now.
You're bang on. Just see some pictures right now of the Hearts manager, Willie, looking very frustrated on the touchline there at Tannadice. Into stoppage time, third part, Stephen Craigan.
Yeah, we've got 3.5 minutes left, Kenny, and I think that's now the game going to be over. Aberdeen had that little flurry at various stages throughout the second half, but Motherwell have managed to stem the flow of Aberdeen. They've stopped the bleeding. There's been nothing really threatening in the last 5 or 10 minutes. So this is a huge 3 points for Motherwell when you take into consideration that they go within 4 points of Aberdeen.
Yes, Stephen Thompson.
3-0 to Celtic. It was another really bad mistake from it looks like Zach Hemming and maybe Marcus Fraser. The ball should have been cleared, it spilled out, and it was the simplest of tap-ins. I think it was Nicholas Kuhn yet again with a tap-in. So 3-0, and Celtic have been better in this second half. You just felt another goal was going to come, and here it is, 3-0.
Nicholas Kuhn should probably score a minute previous. Zach Hemmings makes a good save from him. Maybe I think Kuhn takes the extra touch, but something I'm really disappointed with losing that goal. Seems to be a lack of communication. I don't know if Marcus Fraser maybe hits it out of Zach Hemmings' hand, but Nicholas Kuhn will not score an easier goal all season.
It's really poor, Ryan, isn't it? As a defender, you're gutted with that, aren't you?
Yeah, you're almost wanting your goalie just to wipe you out. I'm just having a look at it again. Yeah, they've just kind of got in each other's way, isn't it? It always seems to happen at Celtic Park, doesn't it? When your mind's frazzled and you've just been defending everything, and simple things can make you look silly. But it's just a mix-up, and he's taking it around the defender, and he won't score many easier goals than that, will he?
Yeah, Celtic cruising there. Nicholas Kuhn with his second of the game. What a player he has been for Celtic this season. A reminder, in about 3.5 minutes time we're on the telly. Open All Mics is on BBC Scotland 4:30 until 5:30. We're on the wireless right through until 6 o'clock. All the reaction to come between 5 and 6. We'll hear from as many managers as possible on Sports, and plenty to talk about this afternoon. Damage limitation since after about 22 minutes at Dermot Park, Alan Preston, but a bit of credit to St Johnstone in the second period.
Yeah, they've had a couple of chances. So Davies had a header again there from Josh McPake, the young boy that's come on as a sub. It is exactly that, Kenny. It's damage limitation. It's containment from Dundee as well. They're back in their shape. Just don't concede the goal. It's as simple as that. It's been a comfortable win for them. St Johnstone had all the possession, but Dundee have got all the goals. 3-0 it is at the moment.
These changes made any difference at all at Rugby Park, Rory?
Yes, they have. Kilmarnock have got a corner. McGuinness is Wales hasn't really been involved, but McGuinness has had some nice touches in the middle of the pitch, found some space, played some nice passes. He's done things a lot quicker than Donnelly was doing them, and to be fair, it wasn't just Donnelly, it was most of the players on the pitch. But yeah, McGuinness has brought a little bit of impetus. He's got the crowd on their feet a couple of times. You can probably hear in the background they're a little bit more enthusiastic, so yeah, they have been a bit of a difference, but not so much of a difference that they're knocking the door down just yet.
Yeah, you'd have to say that for Ross County, if they can take a point from this game today, it's fantastic for them, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But after the first half, I would have said they'll probably be disappointed not to go and 1-up with the chance that Nisbet had. But listen, with their form on the road at the moment, a couple of wins recently, and then they had a draw at home as well. So with Hearts, they'll be absolutely delighted to go up the road with a point.
Yeah, I mean, if you offer Duncowie at the start of play a point away at Kilmarnock, who've got such an excellent. I know they've not beat quite the points they got last year at home, but won 3 games in a row at home. Always play pretty well down there. I think you'd have snapped your hands off for a point, and every point's a prisoner for Ross County.
Yeah, they have improved on the road, no doubt at all.
VAR checking possible penalty for a foul, and the crowd are looking at me as if I know what it's for, but I have no idea. So it's in the Kilmarnock, it's in the Ross County penalty box. So it'll be for Kilmarnock if it's given, and I'll keep you up to date. I've no idea what happened or what it's for. Players look totally bemused, and they're ready for the free kick to be taken. So we'll wait and see.
Right, we're just waiting for a replay here, so we're having a look.
It's from the long throw, Rory.
No penalty.
It's not. It's just a come together. It's not a penalty for me.
Yeah, both sides just needing to get a bit of quality
that was exciting,
in that game.
Kenny.
Listen, you'll take that today, Rory, won't you? Yeah, it's been disappointing. You've had some great games, as you said, down there at Rugby Park.
Yeah, you don't like being too critical, Kenny, because no one's ever had a bad game from the stand, but you're here to call it as you see it, and it's not been great.
Yeah, it's hugely important to do that. We're just gearing up.
I played one Dundee United. I wasn't playing one day, and I went down to see the stick after it, and Jim McLean slaughtered me. So I must have had a bad game for the stand.
I think you're still damaged by all that abuse from Mr. McLean. I tell you, it couldn't have been easy.
In therapy.
Right, do you know what? We're about to go on the television, so what we'll do when we hit that point at 4:30, we'll go around the grounds, we'll get an update, we'll get a full time. I can see the game has just finished there at Fir Park. It was a 2:30 start, a fantastic win for Motherwell.
Are they out of it? Maybe not. Josh McPake, he's done well since he's come on. Good hit for the edge of the box across the keeper. Carson into the bottom corner. St Johnstone 1, Dundee 3.
Right, we'll get more on that in just 1 second. So welcome to viewers who are joining us on BBC Scotland. You're tuned in to Open All Mics. It's been a busy old day, a full card in the top flight. I've got Steve McGinn and Ryan McGowan alongside me in the studio. All the games coming in here. It's been lively. I tell you, we've just had a goal in McDermott Park. Alan Preston, bring us up to date.
Well, St Johnstone were 3-0 down at half time. In fact, after 22 minutes, Kenny, but now they've got themselves back in it. Substitute Josh McPake, who came on about 10 minutes ago, has just scored from the edge of the box. It's a drive with his right foot from 22 yards across Carson into the bottom corner. 67 minutes on the clock. St Johnstone 1, Dundee 3.
Yeah, I can't imagine there'll be many celebrations for the home fans there despite that goal, Alan.
No. Well, listen, it's given them something. They have been better in the second half. All the damage, Kenny, was done in that opening 22 minutes. Dundee taking a stranglehold on the game, 3-0 up. You think they'll see it through. St Johnstone has been better in the second half. Need to get the next goal. Can they make it 3-2? There's still a quarter of this game remaining.
There was a lunchtime kick-off in the top flight to finish. Hibs 3, Rangers 3, an absolute belter of a game. Stay tuned, we'll get reaction from both managers. It was a 2:30 start at Fir Park. Motherwell at home to Aberdeen. Stephen Craig, and it's just finished.
Yeah, it has, Kenny. Motherwell scored the 2 goals in the first half. 34 minutes was the first one. Tony Watt crossed on the right-hand side, and Ewan Wilson slammed home his first senior goal, his first goal for Motherwell to give them the lead. Right on half-time, that's when all the action took place. Rubicic was sent off for a supposed headbutt on Tony Watt. Right from that free kick, Motherwell made it 2-0. Tawanda Maswanisi, who was a star player throughout the afternoon, brought down a lovely pass over his right-hand shoulder and slammed it past Ross Doon. In the second half, Aberdeen had a go. They pushed and they probed. They were brave. They were more adventurous. They couldn't get the third goal in the game to make it 2-1, then bring it back into it. Motherwell in the end ran out comfortable winners. Full time here at Fir Park. Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0.
Yeah, it was a big moment in the game. I think Aberdeen fans, and again travelling in huge numbers there, they'll be really interested to know what went on in that instance. We'll hold the fire a couple of minutes. They'll be getting back to their cars. We'll get the thoughts of Ryan McGowan and Steve McGinn on that. Let's bounce around the grounds. Let's then get to Celtic Park. Celtic cruising. Stephen Thompson at home to St Mirren.
Yeah, they are indeed. 3-0. They actually had the ball in the back of the net again through Adam Mida, but he was just offside. There was a wee VAR check, and it was actually reasonably swiftly dealt with. So it could have been 4, but it's 3. But St Mirren really struggling to make any impact in the game. Celtic, first half, certainly for the first 30-odd minutes, were distinctly average, but once they got their goal, and the goal right before half-time, the second half's been a big improvement. They brought on Hatate and Yang for McCowan and Kuhn, who both had excellent games, and yeah, they're just cruising it out now.
Zach Hemman returning to your former club there today, and it was actually a mistake from him, wasn't it, that gave Celtic that lead, and immediately that put St Mirren right up against it.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a mistake from him. I think, a wee bit harsh there.
Oh, I don't know.
It's a shot at him. He probably could have done better, but it's not a mistake. The third goal was most definitely a mistake. Who's to blame? We'll find out in the fullness of time between Marcus Fraser and Hemming. But Yeah, maybe not his best game in his return to his former club, but yeah, St Mirren haven't really deserved anything from the game, and as I said, in the second half, Celtic have upped the tempo and St Mirren have offered precious little.
Whether or not Tomo thinks it's a mistake or not, it's one of those when you go to Celtic Park, your goalkeeper has to make any save that he can. You need your goalkeeper to have an excellent game. Although Zach Hemmings is going back to a club, a defence he knows really well, he hasn't played a lot of football in the last couple of months, and he has looked, by his standard, he's a goalkeeper really highly. He was a teammate of mine down at Kilmarnock. I think he'll be a bit disappointed with his afternoon, and he's better than that. So, but as a goalkeeper, I'm not sure the mindset, not having played, he fell out the team at Leyton Orient, if that's a part to play in it.
Yeah, up against it, Celtic cruising to victory there at home to St Mirren. Fair to say, Willie Miller, not a classic at Tannadice.
Kenny. Second half, we've had a couple of moments of quality, and the Blair Spittle free kick was one of them. Liam Boy's cross came off the bar. If it was a shot, it was a good effort. But other than that, and I've got nothing written down for Dundee United. Absolutely no opportunities, no chances. Don't think Craig Gordon's had a shot to save. The second half has been dire from the home side. Hearts have been in total control, but hey, it's still there to be won, and I'm sure that's what the home fans are hoping for. If they get one chance, they get one opportunity. Big shout for a penalty, but in my book, no contact. The referee's just waving it away. It was for Dundee United, but no chance. It's a very rare moment that they've been in the box. It was Van der Sande that was brought down. But I'll tell you what, they've got a throw in, and we all know what can happen from throw-ins with Dundee United. I certainly do. So it's Will Ferry to take the throw-in from the right-hand side, and he'll get it right into the middle of that. And they've got a lot of height. In fact, he doesn't. He slips out his hand. It's a weak effort from him.
Sums up the game, doesn't it, Willie?
It does, yes, it does. Let down once more, Kenny.
Yeah, it's disappointing, Ryan, isn't it, for Dundee United fans? They're on such a good run. They move up to third in the table. Hearts have not been at their best this season, but as Willie's saying, they've not produced anything of quality today.
Yeah, and sometimes that happens. I'm trying to watch the game as much as I can in terms of if it's Hearts that are making them.
You won't be able to sleep tonight.
If it's Hearts that are making Dundee United look bad, or if it's more just a case of an off day for Dundee United. But like what we've touched on in the studio, it's still 0-0. They're still in this game, and that's what you need to do at this level, is just try and stay in the game for as long as you can.
I don't think Dundee United fans going, from what the evidence of this season, are going expecting them to go and play Hearts off the park. I think a lot of their games have been like this. They've not played well, but they defend the box as well as anyone in the league, obviously out with the Celtic, and they always give themselves a platform. They've got a platform to win. They've not played well at all, as Willie said. They've not created anything, but they've had late winners all season. They've had games like this. The fans will stick with them because they believe there's something there for them now to go and win the game.
Yep, still plenty of time there. It's also been a disappointing game, Rory Lloyd, down at Rugby Park, Kilmarnock home to Ross County.
Yeah, it has, and other than a wee kind of 5-minute spell when Wales and McGuinness come on, it's kind of went back to type with Joe Wright making a mistake there, giving it straight back to Ross County, and then Noah Chilvers doing exactly the same and giving it back to Kilmarnock. It's going to be a moment of brilliance or a mistake if anyone is to win this game. I can't see the moment of brilliance happening, so it might be a mistake. We'll wait and see. Nisbet should have put County ahead in the first half. Other than that, there hasn't been anything that you'd write down and say as David Watson passes the ball straight out the pitch. There has been nothing of note to say that either side should be ahead, other than that Nisbet chance. It's been really poor.
Eventually it's a straight from James Penrice. It is at the back post. It just bounces up for him. He puts his left foot through it, and it ends up rattling the net. This has lifted this game. It's thoroughly deserved from Hearts. They've been a better side, and what a strike that was.
It's a great goal, isn't it? It's sort of a bit of a mismatch in the box, and then it's he's just hit it really well from the first look at it, and is, like I said earlier, he's been a real bright spark for Hearts. Making that, obviously he was at Livingston last season, gone to Hearts. I don't think anyone expected him to do as well as he has been doing, but by all accounts, everyone at Livingston spoke so highly of him. Everyone at Hearts does. Seems to be a really good kid, good head on his shoulders, and that's it. an absolute great strike. We're just seeing it again here.
Yeah, got the
great assist by Boyce.
Beauty, isn't it?
As soon as he hits it, he knows that's in, and he does bring that real bit of quality in the final third for Hearts. And
it's a Liam Boyce swipe at it, isn't it?
Count as an assist?
A replay.
Yeah.
Does that count an assist? Because he's definitely touches
You'd
it.
be taking it, wouldn't you? You'd be
Giving it now.
You take everything you got as an assist.
I mean, Alan, you've been saying it's been a pretty bleak season for Hearts, but Penrice has been a shining light, hasn't he?
Oh, he's been magnificent. Every game you watch him, he provides crosses into the box. Now he's scoring goals. Scored one against St Johnstone a couple of weeks back, a brilliant header. And by the sounds of that, that's a wonderful strike up at Tannadice, and thoroughly deserved for what I'm hearing from Willie today. But just to go to this game, Kenny, just looking at the stats here, St Johnstone 74%, 21 shots at goal. Dundee 26%, 11 shots, 5 on target, 3 goals to 1 to Dundee. Incredible stuff. St Johnstone had all the ball, all the shots, all the chances. Dundee are cruising it.
Yeah, it's been game of the day, certainly in terms of drama, Alan. You called it, predicted goals. We've had 3 inside the opening 22 minutes. We'll bring the studio guys in just a minute, but for people just tuning in, give us an idea of just how bad it was from a St Johnstone perspective, particularly in that first half.
That was at 22 minutes, and it all started in the second minute when it was just a simple free kick played into the box. Ray, the goalkeeper, comes out. He thinks he's fouled. He drops the ball. Eventually it goes to Simon Murray, and he quickly turns and rolls it into the back of the net for 1-0. 10 minutes, it was 2-0. It was a corner. It was eventually headed out to Lyle Cameron. He played it back in. Murray heads it across, and Palmer Holden's at the back stick. Simple as the task, and you're thinking 2-0, 10 minutes in. Can't get any worse, but it did. 22 minutes. Ashley, a drive and run down the right hand side. He picked out Cameron, and from just inside the box he curled it into the back of the net for 3-0, and I thought this could be anything. St Johnstone have been very plucky. The manager made 2 changes in that opening period as well after 25 minutes, and St Johnstone have got better. One of the changes in the second half, Josh McPake, has got them back into the game. He cuts inside onto his right foot and then drills it beyond Carson from about 25 yards, giving St Johnstone fans a glimmer of hope. Dundee just need to keep going, because St Johnstone are the ones that are going to have to chase this game. We're now at 77 minutes. We're at St Johnstone 1, Dundee 3.
Yeah, St Johnstone now 8 points adrift at the foot of the table. Hearts and Ross County above them. I wish we were on the telly a bit earlier today so that the viewers could just watch you two, particularly in that opening 22 minutes. You've never seen anything like it, have you?
No, I mean, St Johnstone from the start of the game to now, even chasing the game at 3-1, are still playing the exact same way. They're still, they've started this game like they were losing, almost just committing bodies forward. The only thing that's changed for me, Alan will know better than me, he's watched the one game, but all that's happened in the second half is Dundee have stopped trying to score. They've stopped running
Dundee
forward.
Just sat off it.
Yeah,
you're right.
They're just trying to get their 3 points. St Johnstone have looked dangerous going forward quite often, but in my opinion, all that's changed is Dundee stopped punishing them on the counter-attack.
And from a Hearts, defender's perspective, Ryan, when you were at St Johnstone, you feel completely isolated there, wouldn't you? Because not only is there no one dropping back to help you, but as Stephen was saying, there's not an awful lot of confidence in the keeper behind you.
Yeah, it's just borderline suicidal.
Deflected shot, Nicky Clark, deflected shot. Good save in the end by Carson. I think he maybe just spills it, but he knocks it out, gets it away for a corner. Definitely took a deflection from Clark from about 25 yards. If St Johnstone can get this next goal with 12 minutes to go, we might have a game on our hands.
That would have been unthinkable, wouldn't it? But the defending, as you said, has been criminal.
Yeah, as a defender, you want people around you. You want to be in 2v1 situations for you. A lot of the time in the first half, we had our hands in our head because it was situations of 3v2. You know, in the opening 10 minutes of such a big and important game for St Johnstone, there were 3v2 against them in the first 10 minutes, and it can't happen. And you know, like we touched on that caller that called in a couple of weeks ago to say that he likes that style of football. You don't like it when you're 3-0 down after 22 minutes in a must-win game, when you now could be 8 points adrift of the league in the first week in January. It's just not good enough, and to be playing that style of football is all well and good in the last 20 minutes, like now, you know, when you are chasing the game, but they've shot themselves in the foot by being 3-0 down, and like we said, Dundee have just happily said, you can have the ball, try and break us down, and we'll see if we can get you on the counter-attack and score another couple. It's not worked out that way for Dundee's point of view, but you're 3-1 up, you actually don't mind it.
Yeah, that was a St Johnstone fan who said, look, he wants to see this style of football. He hated what he saw under Craig Levein. He said if that ended up in relegation, he would accept that. We're getting him back on next week if we can. No, it wasn't Mr Stewart. I'm sure he was in total agreement with him. Willie Miller, any sign then of something from the home side now they're behind at Tannadice?
No, not really. Kenny, to be perfectly honest, a little bit more energy, a little bit of frustration for the fans. But still really the same shape. I think he might be going to a back four and trying to push some more players a little bit further forward. But they've got the two strikers on anyway, and Middleton has come on too. So yeah, I mean, he's trying to change it. He's trying to make a difference, but he'll be hugely disappointed with this performance. It's not been great at all from Dundee United. Hearts have been the better team. They've controlled most of it. They've got a stunning goal as well. So if it stays like this, I don't think that Jim Goodwin can have any complaints really, and Critchley will be delighted.
We've just seen a close-up of Jim Goodwin on the touchline there, trying to get his team going there, but it's just not happened so far for Dundee United this afternoon. But as the guys have been saying, they've scored a lot of late goals this season. I'm just thinking for Aberdeen fans who are at the game today, so a 2-0 victory for Motherwell. Ian Wilson on 34 minutes. Rubicic was sent off on 43. Just a few seconds later, Motherwell got their second, guys. For the Aberdeen fans, you're a long way away behind that goal there. The incident took place right in front of the dugout. Just explain what happened, and do you think the right decision was reached?
Goal, Ross County!
Wow.
Oh, it's a cut back from Noah Chilvers. A really good pass. And I'm just trying to see who's got it. It's George Harmon who's tapped it into the net. And I have to say, Kilmarnock got their tails up for a small spell there, but it's huge chance for County now with 5 minutes to go to make it 3 away wins on the bounce. It was a great ball from Hale, out wide, cut back to Harmon, and he puts it in for Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 1.
It's a brilliant goal from Ross County. I think it's Jordan White in the middle of the park where really
Great
good awareness.
Play, yep.
Yeah, and he turns, I think it's Mayo, and just opens the game up. And from there, I mean, it's like a training goal for Ross County. It's so quick and really well worked. And they've gone down to Rugby Park, they've defended at times, they've made it stuffy for Kilmarnock, and that's a brilliant goal to score.
And you think of their win at Dundee, you think of their win at Aberdeen, and potentially another 3 points here today. We've spoken a lot about their poor form on the road, but they have found a way to turn that around. It's not been a great game down there, but it could be a great result for these Ross County fans who have made the long journey down the road in difficult conditions.
Put all this into perspective. This result here at McDermott Park, St Johnstone will be eight
Stephen
adrift.
McLean's checking something, sorry Alan.
So they'll be 8 adrift, which is 3 games if you count the goal difference.
Yep.
They've only won 4 all season. We've got 16 games to go, I reckon. That goal at Ross County and Hearts winning,
it's possible
that brings Kilmarnock.
It's onside, Rory.
Right, you guys convinced?
Yeah, it's onside, yeah.
That brings Kilmarnock, Dundee, Hibernia all into this 11th drop.
Yeah,
the league is so tight.
Yeah, apart, as you say, Alan, from St Johnstone, who are completely isolated, not a lot of money to strengthen the squad this coming month, and certainly they need it, and perhaps they need as well some different tactics from the manager Simo Valakari there. So just in terms of these Aberdeen fans, guys, explain what happened. Was it the right call to send Rubicic off?
Yeah, well, Rubicic, Rubicic is trying to buy a foul. I think he's gone down really easily, and I think Tony Watts just politely told him that as he's getting up. But Stephen thought that potentially he could have been given a yellow card. There's a double movement. He does make connection with his head. It's one of those, if it's a yellow card, there's probably a bit of debate. He maybe comes to the screen to have a look at it. But when it's a red card, when Nick Walsh produces a red card, there's no way he can overturn that. There's clear aggression, connects with the head. So moment of madness for Rubicic, and Tony Watt maybe goading him.
He certainly was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Even after the incident, wasn't he?
Yeah,
do you think it was the right call?
I'm not sure if it's enough to be a red. I think the old letter by... I don't know. I would need to see it again, but I felt initially it was a little bit in the softer category, but I can see why he's been sent off, because, especially now with VAR and stuff, you cannot be making any sort of movements of your head towards his head. And Tony Watts played him, really, to be honest with you. That is part and parcel of football, is, that sort of what fans don't see is, the niggling and the chatting away.
And is he one of the worst?
Yeah, he'd definitely be up there. You know, he is super chirpy, but you don't mind that. But
yeah, if you're playing against Aberdeen today, you're almost asking Tony Watt before the game.
Yeah.
Rubezic might give you one. He might come through the back of you. Keep at him. Keep offering him that chance to be aggressive or to give it to maybe get sent off.
And there's a bit of afters as well involving the management teams there as well. So it was a feisty old game. A great win for Motherwell. 2 results in Hibs 3, Rangers 3, Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0. Still playing Celtic 3, St Mirren 0, Dundee United 0, Hearts 1, Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 1, St Johnstone 1, Dundee 3. So let's go back to Stephen Thompson. He's at Celtic Park. Celtic not at their vintage best today, but a very solid performance from Brendan Rodgers. Stephen bouncing back from that old firm defeat. As for St Mirren fans, poor against Kilmarnock. I'm sure they weren't expecting much today. Any positives at all for them?
Well, the opening 30 minutes would be a positive in the fact that they kept their shape well and they were disciplined and frustrated Celtic. But as soon as the first goal went in, then the second half's actually just been really poor. The best chance of the match for St Mirren came only about a minute ago. Carter Vickers dithering on the ball, 6 yards from goal. I don't know what he was doing. He should just be clearing it. Ayunga nicked it off him. Really should score, but Kasper Schmeichel made the save. No, it's been a standard Celtic win here at Celtic Park. We've seen them do it so often to teams this season, and again another game in which they haven't conceded here as well. So a comfortable afternoon for Celtic, but from St Mirren's point of view, it's now 3 defeats in a row, so they'll not be overly pleased. And the performance level's been better than it was last week, albeit against an entirely different opposition, but it's still 3 defeats in a row, so that's going to sting a bit.
And Hearts, as things stand, Willie Miller, as we approach the closing stages, on course for a valuable 3 points at Tannadice.
They are, yeah. I mean, United are throwing long balls. They've got plenty of height there. They've got the 2 reasonably tall strikers up front. They're just trying to hit them. It's all a bit desperate, but you know, they still might get something from it. Set pieces probably their best chance to get back into this game, because they haven't played any football at all. It's been pretty dire, second half in particular, and Hearts have deserved it. They've played a lot of nice, intricate passing, created all the chances in the game, and obviously got the goal that counts as well, and quite a spectacular goal as well. So no, it's been a good afternoon for Hearts. Alan Preston will be delighted with that. Another bad afternoon for me. But there you go. There's always a glass of red wine at the end of the day.
It's not all bad. Rubezic is suspended for
Yeah, Willie's had plenty to say on Rubezic this season, quite rightly so. It was madness. When you watch Sports Scene tonight on BBC Scotland from 7:15, you'll see that for yourselves. I think the referee had absolutely no choice, and Tony Watt knew what he was doing as part of the game, as the guys were saying. Rubezic bit, he was shown the red card. Aberdeen lost 2-0 at Fir Park. We'll get reaction from all the managers between 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock on Sports. And let's get to Rugby Park. Rory Loy is there for us. Darren McInnes, Rory's got to be hugely disappointed with this performance today.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, and the ramifications that come with it. Down to 10th as it stands, you know, only a point in front of Hearts, in 11th place, so you know, pretty precarious. They do have a free kick. We're a minute and a half into 5 minutes of added time, so Gary Mackay-Stevens about to take a wide free kick. Sorry, Fraser Murray, because Mackay-Stevens steps over it, and the keeper comes and claims. Good strike. Oh, it's blocked. It's cleared. Kilmarnock want a penalty for handball.
Right, we'll take a look.
It's more the crowd than the players, to be fair, Kenny, but Steve McLean is tell him to hold on the throw in while he checks it. I don't think it was a handball, but it's difficult to see through the bodies. But yeah, as it stands at the moment, you know, Kilmarnock struggling a little bit. I didn't expect this performance today after Thursday. I thought they were really good, but VAR is checking the possible penalty, so we'll wait and see what happens here.
Right, we didn't get a great first look at that, guys. Hopefully we'll get a replay now. We're just waiting for that to come in. Potentially a huge moment here. Don't forget that County ahead, a really well worked goal. Harmon scoring in the 86th minute. We're seeing a replay now, so the ball's going to come back into the box. It's a shot, it bounces up. It looks like it hit the player in the chest, maybe, or
we've not really had a great angle. The one thing, I'm not sure it's going towards goal anyway.
Nah, it doesn't look like anything.
I don't think
you never know.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you never know.
No, you never know.
Find something.
I'm not sure it's going on target though. Anyway,
full time here at Celtic Park, Kenny. 3-0 to Celtic.
Is his arm outstretched? Is it unnatural? Is there anything to suggest, even if it's not on target, it could be a penalty?
I don't think there's an awful lot going for this claim, Rory. But as the guys are saying, I think there have been a few strange decisions, albeit it's been a lot better, a lot quicker this season.
No penalty is the decision.
Yeah, the guys called it, Rory. There wasn't an awful lot in that one, guys, was there?
No.
No. It comes off, I think it hits James, is it Latore, and then it hits Conor Randall. I think it hits him in the chest.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
What's happening, Alan?
Ah, Sidibe. It's a lovely ball played into his chest. He's at the angle, and he actually tries an overhead kick.
Ryan's having a laugh here, Alan.
It nearly knocked him in the face. Just hold it in, get a runner off you, try and get back in the game.
It's not what you want when you're 3-1 down,
Messi couldn't have done that.
There's almost a carefree kind of attitude to the way they play. They almost play like
sums them up. It actually sums up how they've played today.
Not rooted at the bottom of the league.
So he had no chance of scoring. He went for the overhead kick, and
it's almost like every man for themselves out there. You know, as long as I'm playing well, and I might get a couple of highlights here or whatever. Like what Alan said, your role as a striker there is the ball's played into your chest. You hold that ball up. You make sure you don't get something. At the bare minimum, you win a corner or something, lay it off, get another ball in the box. Instead, he's just tried a bicycle kick, edge of the box, gone out for a goal kick. Dundee can get up the pitch, set it up, smash the ball long, and then you just wasted 2 minutes where you could have half created a chance. It's just so... The decision-making from a lot of the St Johnstone players today have been shocking.
welcome back to listeners who've been tuned into Matchday. They were enjoying commentary. Celtic's 3-0 victory over St Mirren. So 3 score lines in already. Hibs 3, Rangers 3. That was a lunchtime kick-off. Reaction to come from both managers. Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0. Just finished. Celtic 3, St Mirren 0. Just a quick I want to ask you guys there then. So I'm thinking as a man, you're talking, Ryan, a really poor performance, a defeat for Livingston yesterday at Hampden against Queen's Park. You're telling us earlier, Davy Martindale comes in, he gives it to the players. But you were saying the players weren't good. I'm thinking of these St Johnstone players today. When Valakari comes in after this game, he starts giving it to the players. Would a player ever think of saying, wait a minute, what about the way you set us up here today? We've seen this coming week after week. Would a player ever chirp back at a manager like that? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it plenty of times. I've chirped back a few times when I felt that the game plan possibly hasn't been right, or dressing rooms do get very, very heated. It does depend on the relationship that you have, and the last couple of years I've been one of the senior players in the dressing room, so if I felt that something wasn't right, I felt it was my responsibility to say that. I'm not sure what they've worked on. For example, if they've been working on it all week to be playing as they have done. The thing that was more concerning about the goals was it wasn't individual mistakes. You've seen earlier today with Hibs, Rocky letting the ball bounce and then they're getting the breaks. That's not down to the coach. Whereas most of these goals for St Johnstone has been losing the ball within 3 or 4 passes.
They're exposed.
They're so exposed, and that has to come from either not doing it, someone's not doing their job, because I can't believe that they've trained all week to be thinking if we lose the ball we may or may not be exposed and we'll just see how we get on, and hopefully our defenders are better than their forwards, because that just doesn't work. All it needs is like that. Dundee have had 3 chances in the first 20 minutes. They're 3-0 up, and that's the game absolutely finished. So yeah, I have no doubt that I know most of the boys in that changing room, they won't be happy, but yeah, I think they're just
full
the way
time. Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 1.
Yeah, I just saw Don Cow looking at his watch there, praying for the whistle. He got it. A great win again away from home for Ross County. A great few weeks they have had. So still playing at Tannadice. Willie Miller.
They are, Kenny, and we are. It's about 2 minutes left. It was 3 minutes time added on, so we've got a couple of minutes. It's down where Hearts want it, down in the left back area where United are defending, so they've given up possession, and I would think it would be route one. That has been, in fact it is, it's just right down the middle.
Full time at McDermott Park. St Johnstone, as we currently sit, 8 points adrift. They lose by 3-1 against Dundee.
Yeah, you can hear the boos here. We'll get full time reaction from that game. Really interesting to hear, in particular from Simo Valakari. Yeah, back to you, Willie Miller.
Yeah, they're just lumping it from one end to the other, to be perfectly honest. Dundee United are just trying to get the ball in to an area that might trouble Hearts. They haven't done enough. If they get something out of this game in the dying embers, then it is by good fortune, because they've not played at all. It's not been a case that they've looked as though they were going to break Hearts down towards the end of this game. It's just a case that they're just battering balls forward. They've got 5-6 players up there. They're looking for something to break for them, which of course might break for them, but it's a very old-fashioned way of playing the game, that's for sure. And they've struggled throughout Dundee United. For them to be in the run that they're on and to come a home game in front. I mean, the home crowd that have disappeared as well, so they're not even waiting until the end of the game. But the long ball comes in yet again, and we're still playing here, and they've got all the height back up there, hoping that something will fall for them, something will maybe drop very conveniently for them in the box. They are pushing right enough. Only time will tell if something's going to fall for them. A little clip towards goal. They're getting a corner though, so it's taking a deflection. So they have got probably one last chance, I would suggest.
And a lot of height, as you've been saying, Willie, in that United side.
Yeah, a lot of height. So
are they asking for a handball?
The goalkeeper goes up as well.
I think they're asking for a handball, Willie.
Are they asking for a handball? Are they?
Yeah, I think it's a bit desperate. Comes off Kyle Rose, maybe his thigh.
Walton's up as well.
Neil Critchley's looking at the wall. Neil Critchley's saying this should be time up. He's begging the referee. Here we go.
It's a good save from Craig Gordon at the near post. They had to. It's by across. There's another header. Yeah, it's cleared now though for Hearts and a free kick, and that's a fine. No, it's a free kick. It's not the final whistle yet.
Chance.
It is the final whistle. Indeed, it is. It's always a clue when the linesman comes onto the pitch, isn't it? That's a final whistle. So it finishes here at Tannadice. Dundee United 0, Hearts 1.
Thanks to Willie Miller. Craig Gordon again showing his worth to that side. He did it against Motherwell. 2 late saves there. That was real desperation in the box right at the death, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. And that's what Hearts have been needing, basically all season is just these sort of not pretty backs to the wall. 1-0, kept the clean sheet. That's the last 2 games that they've kept the clean sheet, which will be vitally important in it. Like I don't want to keep going back to St Johnstone, but keeping clean sheets is important. And you're not going to win many games if you're conceding 2-3 goals every week. So getting back to basics for Hearts, getting clean sheets. Obviously Penrice with a great strike, which was probably the only bit of quality in the game so far, or today, sorry, that gets Hearts to 3 points, and they're starting to slowly build some momentum. Both Hearts and Hibs the last couple of weeks have picked up some good results, and along with Ross County, who've now picked up 7 points in 3 games. It's a big worry, especially with Kilmarnock's result today. I think that them and St Johnstone would probably be the worst off after this weekend.
Yeah, just seeing pictures of the delighted Hearts fans, a big travelling support there again at Tannadice. I'm sure most of them will make the journey. Their next game is away at Aberdeen. That should be an absolute cracker. Full coverage, of course, right here on Sports Sound. A full card in the top flight today. So the classified scores: Hibs 3, Rangers 3, Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0, Celtic 3, St Mirren 0, Dundee United 0, Hearts 1, Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 1, St Johnstone 1, Dundee 3. And in the English Premier League, a full-time score: Fulham 2, Ipswich Town 2, half an hour played, Liverpool 0, Manchester United 0. So let's get some more detail from the games across Scotland today. Stay tuned. We're on the radio until 6 o'clock. We'll get reaction from as many managers as possible on the TV until 5:30. Our second commentary match of the day came from Celtic Park. Celtic at home to